Joy. Nice to see everyone here. Got to start off with the intro, Joy. So I'll just go to my chat window so I can see who's in. So many people have turned up. Thank you very much. I've been gone for so long. I expected people to have forgotten about me and just be on my own with Joy. But I think there's quite a few people in. So how are you, Joy?
Well, thank you. I had a super busy weekend. I got to play a bunch of my vegan protest songs
Cool.
in front of a public, in front of television, so that's going to be fun.
Nice.
So yeah, I have a magazine with my face on it, which is completely unreal and ridiculous. But I've had a weird weekend, but it's been awesome.
That's great. I don't think have you done? I don't think I've watched some of your. Have you put them on your channel yet? Are you going to upload them?
I am gonna upload them. I don't believe that I have the current songs that I've written specifically for this show on my channel yet, but I'm gonna be recording those properly or either use the footage that they provide. So I'm gonna have to see how soon that comes out.
Look forward to seeing that and listening, obviously, with it being songs. Hey, Forge Your Own Path. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate you coming to see us. The real thing. Nice to see you as well. This is Cherie. She's going to post things for me. Cherie, if you can hear me, if you can just keep posting everyone who's turned in so I know who's here, that would be great. Been waiting endlessly. I'm really sorry, guys, for my long absence. It's there was a combination of things. It's I had some family issues. We had some people die in the family. We've had some issues with the kids where I had to, pay attention to them. And then, to be fair, I neglected myself a little bit, and I gained some weight. Some unspecified amount of weight, which I'm not going to say. But I'm going down again now. I've recently lost 17 pounds of what I gained, and it shows you how much I gained while I've been sat at home and then not on the internet. But I'm I'm on the right path again. But I remained vegan. For anyone out there thinking, did he eat anything that was animal based? Not a thing. Not a thing.
Right. But then it's good. Right, it's good to sometimes take a step back and
vegetables could make you fatter. Only when they're shaped into crisp form and a few other things. I think that's when they go wrong.
Isaac was one of my fellow artists who performed with me this weekend.
Cool. Oh, Michael's here as well.
Hi, Michael.
nice to see you as well, Michael. So, I can see Ekaterina is here as well. Nice to see you, Kat.
Good to see you.
And it's been a while. I was going to message you, see how you were doing, and now you're here. Vegan Post Mortem, nice to see you here as well. And PJ Venom 1985, what a great name. Bev, hey, I can see Bev's here as well. And Boamar, is it Boamar? Is that how you pronounce that?
Boamar, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and. Let's just see. I'm sorry I've missed anyone else's name who's in here, but I do appreciate you all coming. It's really, really good of you. So today we're going to be discussing, I think it was maybe about 12 days ago now. Maybe 12, 13 days ago? So we're a little bit late to it, but it's just getting back on the internet here. I wanted to discuss the video that was between Joey Carbstrong and Tristan Tate. It's a bit of a long one, so we might be here. Hopefully, some of you can stay for the long haul. But we've got our drinks and supplies, So we're ready to go. We're ready to go. Hopefully, you are as well. But yeah, have you managed to watch much of it so far, or are you reacting to it pretty raw when we go through it now, Joy?
Yeah, I've managed to watch or listen to about half of it to get a general idea of the discussion. I didn't want to learn the arguments by heart. I also would like to say that I know that there's a whole controversy, a whole rabbit hole to dive into when it comes to the Tate legacy. Yeah. We're not going to go into that today. We're just going to take the debate at face value, and we're going to try and respond to what we see.
Exactly.
So that's something I wanted to mention. Yeah, hi, vegan guys.
And Iridescent 04, nice to see you here. It's all very nice to see. So we're going to go through the video pretty much in its entirety. So
Good luck, everyone.
So it's a while, but I think it was interesting enough to to go through. And sometimes I do like cut down a lot of the stuff I respond to, and people go, "Oh, you should have responded to it in full because we then we're not missing context, etc." So here we go. So we're going to start off. I have trimmed some of it out, though. There was a whole intro where Tristan was explaining, I don't know why you've asked me on. I don't have anything to say about veganism, and which, even though he does seem to have quite a lot, to be fair. And then there was a whole section of Joey explaining all his past that most of us, I think, know, where he was in gangs and other such things. Now, I think he just wanted to give, obviously, Tristan sort of a baseline of who he was and the kind of person. And I think there may have been a bit of, I'm not your standard vegan. Look at, I'm a hard guy too. So I think now I may be reading too much into that, but I feel when you go up against somebody like one of the Tates, maybe you need to, try and alpha them out a little bit.
Yeah, he wanted to meet him where he was at, I think, and that's fair. That's not a bad strategy.
No. It's you want to show that you're a person of the world, and you're not going to be a pushover, and you're formidable in your own right in life, don't you? You're not like just a weakling that drinks water and licks lettuce.
The soy boy.
Yes, I'm a soy boy. I don't mind soy. So should we go for it? Should we take a look at the intro? So as I say, I've trimmed a bit out, but it's pretty much in its entirety, and then we'll pause it throughout and see what we have to say about it. Michael thinks before we've even started, he's calling him repulsive.
Yeah, the smoke. Yeah, I don't like. It depends though. Some cigarette smoke and not cigarette smoke. I mean, cigar smoke can smell quite nice. I knew somebody who smoked like those vanilla cigarettes, but I wouldn't want to be in that room.
I think it's part. I think it's part of the Tate image, though, isn't it? His brother does it as well, and plus I think their whole thing is, and I've heard his brother say now and again, the reason why they smoke cigars so much is because it increases testosterone. Is their reasoning behind it? Plus, they probably just like doing it, and it's part of the whole personality. But their reasoning, health wise, is it increases testosterone.
I have some doubts there. I don't think it really increases your testosterone if you lose a testicle to cancer, but okay. I'm not the expert in that field.
No,
so
I'm sure that wouldn't help. I'm sure it wouldn't help. But let's have a look. Let's go for it.
My first question to you would be, why me? I mean, I know you didn't put your fans up to this, like tweeting underneath my post, etc. But why am I the type of person who you thought it would be beneficial to have a veganism debate on? Because I truly don't care. As of right now, I don't care 1% about any of the issues vegans bring up. So why me?
Well, I mean, I think he knows why, to be fair, before we go into Joey's response to that. He knows that the reason is he's a high profile. It gives a much larger audience for Joey to get the his vegan message out too. And I think Tate knows that. He just pleaded ignorance a bit there. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that they both knew that it was never going to be the point to convince Tate here. It was going to be to, have this conversation in front of an audience and see what they think, to provide some perspective.
Exactly. Yeah. The real thing, he does think he's a mafia boss. You're not wrong.
I've seen your post come up on Twitter, and this isn't the first. So basically, you said that. You said the number one sign of intelligence in 2023 is the ability to disagree on issues and stay civil. Yes. I'll follow men I disagree with on Twitter. I'll sit down and talk to him like I like opposing points of view. Yeah. I said, come on my YouTube channel and debate veganism. And you said there doesn't need to be debating. Eat what you want. I'll do the same, right?
Well, I don't have an opposing point of view is my point. I'm happy for you to be a vegan. Go ahead.
Yeah,
no, I think most omnivores are quite happy for vegans to be vegan, as long as you just let them carry on eating animals and don't tell them your opinions. I mean, I don't think that's anything new. I mean, he's like being very magnanimous. Oh, I'm quite happy for you to be a vegan. Well, that's very kind of you. It's so generous.
Yeah, it's that's a common response. But the thing he just said, it's a sign of intelligence to remain civil when you disagree. I'm paraphrasing here. I think that's kind of a bare minimum standard to be having a conversation with anyone. Like, I get it, especially if you're on Twitter a lot. It's a hellscape right now. I'm not on Twitter anymore. But yeah,
I don't
it's
think
a
it's
bit
even
bare
a matter of
minimum.
intelligence. Then I think it's just a matter of manners and you know how you've been brought up to engage in conversations with people. You know, I've had conversations with people that some people may say you know aren't particularly intelligent. Maybe people think I'm not, and they've been absolutely civil. So yeah, I don't think you need to be particularly intelligent to talk to people about different topics. Maybe if you're trying to go in depth to something that's a bit more complicated, then just don't kill animals. But on this one, I always found veganism quite a simple concept. But it's everyone else who muddies it up. But let's carry on.
But the reason that I thought of you, because it's not the first time I encountered you. Actually, you're all over social media, and you're rather
yeah, I know.
mega
Unfortunately,
famous.
Unfortunately,
And yeah,
like he doesn't want that.
And it's not the first time talked about veganism either. So like, I responded to a couple of live stream that you and Andrew did. And I know Andrew's, he's not here, so we're not here to talk about Andrew's views. We're talking to you. But, you know, you did chime in on a couple of times when Andrew was talking about his problems with vegans and vegetarians or people that don't eat meat and how he doesn't respect them and things like that. But then you were talking about the problem with veganism and talking about how vegans not only kill more animals, they are also shouldn't expect everyone in the world to be vegan. And you talked about the Messiah, that live stream. So
yes.
that might have been just a small talking point for you, but obviously in the vegan movement, we all.
I see. Yeah. It was a very small talking point to me, and obviously.
Yeah, he's always going to say it's a small talking point because he doesn't want to, you know, give anything away. It's very unimportant to him. You know, he's here with his cigar, he's here with his drink. You know, he's the man. You know, this is very small for him, but you know, he's going to give you a chance of explaining it. He's a great guy. I mean, I don't know him. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't really know too much about Tristan Tate, but he does try and minimize his interest and make himself. Already, he comes off as I'm a little bit above this, but go for it.
I mean, he bothers to like have the conversation, right? They've been talking for 2 hours, so like let's say he cares enough to or you know has the decency to have a conversation about this.
Yeah, I mean they've got to. I mean he is a large platform. He doesn't have to have him on, to be fair, and he doesn't need Joey on for any kind of clout. So you know the fact he's let him on the platform, and he has a lot of. I think he has like up to maybe 30,000 people in his live streams. So you know there's a big audience there, and then there's all the people watching after it. So you know, but he knows he's the man for his audience. So he's quite confident here. He thinks he's coming from a great position, so I think that oozes out of him, and I think that can put people, even maybe Joey, on the back foot, because he just oozes so much confidence and whatever that it can be difficult to overcome. But we'll see.
On my last live stream, if anyone saw, I was making a bunch of jokes about Irish people, and my Irish friend was sitting here with me. So it's not something exclusive that I do to pick on the vegan community. I like to have a good laugh at everybody. I think that's how we, you know, stay friendly. I make jokes about all the things I am, certainly. So if the vegan community, you know, obviously watched that and took that personal, then good, because I guess now here you are speaking to me. But what's the debate that we could possibly have? I see a discussion, but what's the debate?
Well, it depends. It depends on what you think about this topic, because we can get straight into it if you want. Like I thought we might. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty to debate here, because you obviously think it's like, judging by the way that you live your life, like it's completely morally justifiable to have animals endure a slaughterhouse so that you can eat their body. Like, so if you believe that, then I don't believe that. I believe it's not justifiable. Okay. I don't think we have any morally justifiable reason, coherent moral reason to do this to these non-human animals. Okay. And you believe it's totally fine and you don't care.
Absolutely.
So I think that is a point to debate.
Do you hold any religious beliefs before we start?
Yeah, he's going straight into the religion here, because obviously he's I believe he follows Christianity, and his brother follows Islam. So before I even watched that, I thought he might bring up religion, but we'll see what he has to say about it.
Sorry, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, he's gonna bring it up.
Or are you an atheist?
No, I don't. I would be. I don't claim to know everything about the universe. I'm more agnostic. I don't know, but I do lean towards. It's a very bizarre world we live in, and it's very hard for me to come to terms with it being a cosmic accident. But at the same time, I've had some spiritual awakenings in my life through my hard journey and violence and pulling myself out of addiction and things like that. And I've sometimes felt like someone was watching over me. but to say that I'm practicing, practicing some
Anything.
kind of religion, I don't think so. No.
Understand, because I feel like a lot of the hard lines that people are scared of debating these days. I mean, there's lots of different debates on LGBTQ rights in the community, etc. And people who are, for example, Muslims will have their hard lines on it and say, well, my religious belief is this. You shouldn't be questioning my religious belief. I myself am an Orthodox Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in the word of the Bible. And the Bible makes it very, very clear that man has dominion over animals. It tells us which animals we can and which animals we can't eat. And I don't understand how any man could argue with a Christian about that.
There we go. I think we've probably, most vegans have heard the argument before that especially if they've been speaking to Christians, that God put the animals on the planet. He gave them for us to do whatever we want to do with, and I think this is definitely one of his trump cards. Because I've always found it particularly difficult to argue with anyone who comes from this religious aspect of it, because how do you, if they actually think that the God, the creator of everything, has given them permission to completely use animals exactly how they want to use them without any consequences whatsoever. I mean, if they believe that's ordained by the creator of all, how do you come back from that? I mean, it's how I don't believe in that, but this is what Tristan sort of leads with. So I think to lead this with it must be what, in his opinion, like his get out of jail free card. And I think throughout the stream he does use it a bit like that. It's like, yes, the great point, Joey, but God.
Yeah, no, I gotta disagree with the whole, like, I've heard this argument before as well. Just to be clear, I'm an agnostic atheist, so you know where I'm coming from. I've written down a few things. Yeah, the term dominion, that does happen in the Bible, but the term dominion does not mean ownership or free to do with as you will. It means, it implies obligation, right? It implies protection.
I have dominion over my children. To a certain
exactly
age.
For example, yeah. And well, I do also know that the Bible says thou shalt not kill. It does not specify thou shalt not kill humans. It's somewhat implied, but that's not what it originally says.
I think it would be hard to convince anyone who comes from that sort of like Christian and religious sort of background that it doesn't just apply to humans.
No.
Especially since Jesus ate animals, etc. And it would be a hard sell for them. I think. So you're going down their rabbit hole at this point, aren't you? With that, and I don't think I'd even try and convince them on that front, just because there's no way it's going to happen. You got to sort of say, yes, your book says you can eat animals, but is your book right?
I think that's definitely a discussion worth having, like especially about the term dominion, but also the Bible does not specify that you're obligated in any way to eat animals.
No, not at all.
Or their products.
Not at all. Should we see what Joey has to say about it? Anyway,
I say God's word is final. Where would you come in and oppose me?
So you eat meat because God told you it's okay? Is that because you've never said that before? That's all.
I love meat. I absolutely love meat, and I don't feel any duty towards the animals that are killed for my meat, just like any other predator in the world doesn't. I don't believe when a shark eats a seal or eats a human that a shark has done anything morally wrong. I don't believe the shark needs to be reprimanded. I don't believe the shark is evil. So like any meat-eating creature on Earth, I don't feel sad for the prey that I consume.
I think he would have been better off leading with that if he really thinks that, because I mean, I don't know why he led with religion and suddenly switched to, well, sharks eat meat. I mean, it's a very strange and abrupt switch. And maybe he's got a lot of things going on in his head. But yeah, I would have preferred he would have just actually, continued down that first argument before switching. That's why it was really hard for me to sort of trim this video anyway, because he's all over the show. He's just like going on about one thing, then he bleeds into another and backwards and forwards. But yeah, I mean, we've all heard the argument that, and I don't blame a shark either. I don't blame a shark for eating whatever it's meant to eat, or a lion or anything else. But they're a different kind of being to us. And another reason, even if you said, well, lions and tigers and sharks, they eat meat, so we can. They don't build mega factories
Yeah, but also
confine their prey and breed them en masse in the billions. It's not what they do.
I feel like I don't know if he's going to do this throughout the stream, but from the beginning so far, he has mostly emphasized on his own. He has centered his own perspective. He has centered his own, like, for my perspective this or for my perspective that, and not necessarily from a moral or religious perspective.
No.
And also, like, when it comes to the sharks, we don't hold sharks or bears, whatever, to the same moral standard as we do humans.
No, there's many things that that humans aren't allowed to do that we wouldn't reprimand an animal in the wild for. It doesn't mean that we want to, follow that as an example of what we do. I mean, this is the problem. He's picking out a certain thing that sharks do that he wants to do, which is eat other animals. I mean, sharks do many other things. Does he want to go live in the sea? Is he going to grow sort of gills? Is he going to get have some kind of like surgery to give him flippers?
It's refreshing to hear. That one. Not lions though is a bit refreshing. Sharks though, yeah.
Yeah, that's. I think that came up because he believes himself to be more of a shark. He believes himself to be like the apex predator, doesn't he? So I mean, I would say that maybe that's why he's gone for sharks, because they've got that sort of like, I don't know. I always find sharks a little bit more intimidating than lions. Lions, every time I think of a lion, I think of it sitting around, in
sharks
the sun.
Are really cute, actually. I find them cute.
Well, sharks are just constantly swimming and hunting, and they're more of a I would say more of a born killer, but I don't know. But yeah. I think the reason why he brings up sharks is because he classes himself as one, to be fair. I think that's maybe I'm wrong, but I get the impression that he likes to give himself the feeling of being at the top of the food chain, the apex predator, and he likes the idea of maybe comparing himself to a shark. But again, he's not having like some kind of flipperoplasty, or having a dorsal fin stitched to the top of him and trying to live in the ocean with the Mizzy.
But this is kind of common in I'm just going to call it alpha culture kind of on YouTube. I feel like he's in kind of that branch, even though like the whole theory of the alpha male and all that has been debunked hundreds of times by the person who coined the term. But okay, that aside, I feel like this is like a very common thing, like the idea that you cannot be vegan and be an alpha male, so to call.
You've got to be consuming meat, smoking cigars, drinking whiskey. But but that's what he does. So maybe he likes to conflate his own behaviors with what's required to be a real man. I don't know. Let's see what Joey has to say about this.
And I don't know why I should.
Well, I mean, we can unpack that for sure. I mean, first of all, God says it's okay is one, like it was written in the Bible basically, or written in the Word of God, that God gave permission to eat certain animals and not others.
Well, that is in the Bible. I'm just saying, how would you counter that argument? Because people don't like to go against people's religious hardlines. And this isn't a religious hardline for me.
I just want to know what you believe, but I want to know what you believe, Tristan, because there's a lot of people with different beliefs out there, but I want to know, because I'm really interested in, because I've been following you, I've been watching, and maybe, I don't know if you've been watching anything that I talk about or whatever, but I've been watching a little bit about, you do care.
I saw you on Piers Morgan.
You do care. Yeah, but Piers Morgan pretends like he doesn't care, like he cares.
I just like to say at the beginning of this, he said he hadn't done any preparation. I mean, I don't know if that was in the part that I cut out or not. He said he'd done, or if it was the beginning of this, I can't remember. He said he'd done zero preparation for the stream. He doesn't know anything about it. He's not. And then it's like, as the video goes on with him, you can tell that he has done a little bit of research. He does know who Joey is. He has seen him in things. He knows about veganism. And I think he did probably brush up. He's not a stupid individual. I think he did probably brush up on certain common sort of retorts or to vegan arguments or possibly, but he would never admit that, I don't think, because he needs to assert the fact that he can think of everything on the fly. He doesn't need to prepare. He's just got it all up top already, and it's all he's got every answer.
I mean, I hope he did. I kind of expect him to, because it's it's his job, it's his thing. So I kind of expect him to, and I think that that's a good thing.
But I don't think he'd ever admit it. I don't think he'd ever admit the fact that he prepared. I mean, I think it's just it shows that he cares a bit, and he's so desperate to show this I don't care that research and preparing would just would send the opposite message. So I don't know. Let's carry on.
He thinks he cares about bees and all that sort of shit. He doesn't. He just
No one cares
makes
about
stuff
bees.
up.
I mean, no one cares
Yeah,
about
he
bees.
doesn't
Joy cares about bees. Joy does
Okay.
care about bees.
I wonder if he's gonna go.
still
I don't
coming
remember
through?
if he went anywhere with this.
It's working. I'm seeing no delays here. And we're good on
Okay.
my Rumble stream.
I lost you after bees. I lost you after bees.
Yeah, I don't care about bees, and I'm not going to pretend that I do care about bees because that would be a bit
Okay.
stupid if I sat here and said, "Oh, I care so much about bees. How can you eat this food that kills bees, etc." I don't.
Joy, tell us why you should care about bees.
Oh,
What impact happens on the world if we don't have bees, Joy?
Okay. The main impact is going to be that it's going to be a huge problem for us in terms of pollination. We are currently actually seeing that a lot of bee species are going extinct. And why do we need around 50,000 different species of bees? That's because we need a variety of pollinators in order to maintain a variety of food sources and to maintain, our ecosystem on which we depend. And if we lose bees are a huge part of that pollination role in our ecosystem. So that's why I care about bees, and I think that a lot of people maybe even unknowingly care about bees.
Yeah, I mean, hi CH as well. Thanks for joining. But yeah, I mean, a lot of I don't know. He wants to come across as intelligent, but saying he doesn't care about bees as a blanket statement is pretty stupid considering.
Like if he means maybe he cares about the utility in that sense about bees, but he doesn't care about the feelings of bees. But that seems a bit counterintuitive because you're gonna need to keep bees happy.
I think he hasn't particularly specified that, and I don't know if he does later on in the stream. We'll have to see. But to say you don't care about bees is pretty much stupid because we need them. Same ways we need ants and other species on the planet. We're much more important than humans potentially for the survival.
Let's just be
of the actual
charitable
planet.
and say that he doesn't care about the feelings of bees.
Yeah,
even
we'll
if
say
it's a little counterintuitive. But
yeah, we'll say he doesn't care about the feelings because anyone who doesn't care about the existence of bees really should read some information about why we require bees. Maybe, don't you think, Joy?
Yeah, watch my video, dude.
Yeah, go and watch some of Joy's videos about bees. They're awesome.
Don't care about bees, but I don't care about the other animals I eat either.
Okay, so okay, because
but you said I do. You said I do care.
I said you do care about many other issues. That's what I said. You do care about many other issues.
Indeed,
and you care
do.
about human beings, and you care about other animals. And so you're not just a heartless person who lacks empathy and doesn't give a shit about anything. Because I used to be around people like that. I used to be around true, cold psychopaths, like in the gang world, and that they.
I was just going to say, Michael. He uses the "I don't care" argument as and the well, God says I can, I think is his two main things. Just to preempt it, I don't want to say too. He does have other things he says, obviously, but he does like those particular responses. Yeah.
They did not care about anything. There was a couple of them, and you just knew they don't care.
Yes.
You've probably been around them too.
Well,
you don't seem like that type of person.
No,
yeah,
and
exactly.
I care very deeply about humanity and other people.
Oh, can I just say, Joy, there's a question there for
Yeah.
you. Do you want to quickly answer that before we carry on?
Do we actually need bees or do we just need pollinators? Well, I think that's kind of the same thing because bees make up a huge part of our pollinators. Yes, there are definitely other pollinators such as birds and stuff, but like I said, we need a variety of pollinators in order to maintain a variety of plant life on which all of us depend. So it's the same thing. Yeah, we do need bees and the rest of the pollinators as well.
Yeah, we definitely do need them.
But exactly. I don't think that extends to the animal kingdom.
You do? Well, I don't know why you would give a bunch of money.
And I'm not going to pick on that either. I mean, a lot of the time, vegans will say, well, humans are part of the animal kingdom. But, I think the vast majority of the public, including Tristan Tate, see us outside of animals. I mean, I know we are, but, so I'm not going to go on about him, not including humans within animals because we have taken ourselves out of that sort of animal kingdom, and we stand alone for good or bad. So, I know we are, but we're sort of not anymore. you know what I mean, Joy?
I understand why people make the separation. I'm still 100% convinced. We're apes. I'm an ape.
You're a smart ape, though. I'll give you that.
We're smart little apes, but I understand why people make the separation, because we're one of, I think what separates humans from the rest of the animal kingdom is that we adjust our environment to us instead of the other way around.
Yeah, exactly.
At least we've reached that point now.
Hi, Leon. Nice to see you. Yeah, and I think arguing with people about the semantics of it, and going on about the language of it, is just pointless. It takes you down an unnecessary sort of road sometimes, doesn't it? And we all know what he means.
For a lot of argumentation, it doesn't matter either way.
No, exactly. Okay.
Money to a dog charity if you didn't care about non-human animals.
I love dogs, but if you wanted to eat your dog, I would not have a problem with you eating your dog.
Would you have a problem with me eating a dog from the charity?
Well, that would be my...
Oh, for anyone who doesn't know, he lives in Romania, and he pays a certain amount of money. I don't know the exact figures, to a dog charity over there, because Romania, as I think many of us know, has a large stray sort of dog problem. So he sort of supports that charity. I'm not going to say anything about it. It's whatever his motivations are, he's at least helping one set of animals, who need assistance. So I'm not going to say much more than that about that one.
Well, that would be my dog, and I'd have a problem with you coming into my garden and eating from my apple tree, even though they're just apples. They're my apples. That tree's in my garden. So when people say, "Oh, would you have a problem with me eating your dog?" Yes, I'd have a problem with you eating my dog. But there are lots of people all over the world that eat dogs all the time. I'm not going to tell them not to, and I don't care what they do with their dogs.
This is a funny talking point, because we will get to the predator point, like comparing yourself to a predator in nature as well. But I just want to talk about this dog point, because you had an interesting back and forth with Elwood's dog meat on Twitter. Should we talk about that?
Oh, Jesus. Well. Yeah. So I'll actually cover this for 5 seconds first, because someone sent me a link to a fake website that allegedly sells dog meat. It has a bunch of pictures of cute dogs next to what is clearly steak and sausages. And they're saying, we sell this dog meat. And someone sent me this as a joke to troll me. And I've sent them a message saying, "Hi, do you ship internationally? I'm interested in buying some dog meat to Romania." And I posted a screenshot on the Twitter argument. It was a joke, as in, if someone's selling dog meat, I don't care what they do. But Elwood's dog meat, and I kind of wish I hadn't given them the shout out, because they sold the story to the newspaper that I genuinely thought they were a dog meat farm, and I stupidly was trying to buy dog meat because I'm evil. And the newspapers, obviously, which print anything bad about me, printed it. And I was like, for God's sake, I wish I didn't contact those people, because it was a joke. I wasn't actually trying to buy dog meat from them. It's not my meat of choice.
No, he's like most people, likes dogs. Even though he does have a different stance. Most people go, "I like dogs and nobody should eat them." He goes, "I like dogs, just don't eat my dog, and eat your own if you want." Even your own personal dog in your home, if you get bored of it one day and want to kosh it over the head and shove it in the oven, he's fine. He's fine with that.
But I think, like, what he's saying is that what I understand from this is that the determining factor for him is his ownership. So that doesn't mean that you necessarily care about the dog, like he says. He just cares about the fact that it's his
He cares
property.
about his dog. He cares about his dog. Now, whether
so
or
he
not
doesn't care about the sentience of the animal.
I think this is it. I think he classes his dog the same as he would a car, or a nice pair of shoes, or anything else. It's just another thing that belongs to him. And if anyone comes at his things, whatever that may be, then he's going to have a go at that. He's going to have a problem with it. But if you want to beat your own dog, or if you want to cook your own dog, if you want to crash your own car, if you want to key your own car or whatever, he doesn't class them as important as humans by a long shot. No, and I'm not saying he has to think of them exactly equal, but but he cares so little for other people's lives and other people's property and other people's the animals that live with other people. But
I find it a little bit disappointing. Sorry to interrupt you there, but I find it a little bit disappointing that he's kind of ignoring the science in this, or not ignoring it, but not even considering it, because we know that animals are sentient, and if there's absolutely zero moral consideration for the animal, that is just, in my opinion, a form of science denial.
I don't think he denies the sentience. We'll see how he goes further on. I don't think that's the issue here. I think he just doesn't care about anything that doesn't affect him, or anything that he classes as his.
I'm curious about that. I'm curious about his point of view on that, because I think it would be a little bit limited, a bit of a limited perspective, and I would expect better from someone in his position.
Yeah, I think Leon's right there as well. He does hide a lot of maybe egotism, etc. With the
Not morally better, by the way, but like in terms of doing research like that better.
Yeah, definitely.
What would be the problem with that, though? Because you said you don't have a problem with people eating animals. So
no, I don't have that people do eat dogs. I don't try to shut the farms down. There are dog meat festivals in China. Okay. I'm not going to go to China until the China. The question that we just finished is we were talking about the dog meat farm that trolled me and sold the story to the newspaper. And I was saying that I don't particularly care if somebody eats their own dog and that the dog meat festivals that happen in China, etc. I don't want to go there and stop them from doing it. So I guess why should I?
Except with the charity.
Or why do you?
Yeah, but,
right?
Well, I think with the charity, it's in the country that he lives in, and when he goes and drives around his streets, he sees all these stray dogs. Maybe they're getting in the way of him and his brother driving in the Bugatti. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe that's why he wants the streets cleaning up, just because it's a place that he lives. So it's, again, the charity is based in the country that he lives in, probably in the area that he lives in, more than likely, even though I have no evidence of that. And the clean, helping get the stray dogs off the streets and do whatever they need to do and rehome them possibly in other countries. But
I'm curious about where he draws the line there, because obviously there's like at least some level of care, even if it's just based on his own experience. That's fine. But I'm wondering where he draws the line then, because wouldn't it be much easier then to shut down any charity that has to do with dogs and just shoot them all?
No, I mean, I don't think he probably cares about many other charities, but he cares about this one because it's in the area and the country that he lives in, and also then I think it's another. He can say to the people in his area, look how good I am. I live in your country, I live in your area, and I'm helping you with your large dog problem because I care. And it's another. I don't know. I don't know if it's another ego trip. I don't want to say that, or maybe it's just he wants maybe if there was. Maybe it's the same thing if he lived in an area where somebody dumped a lot of rubbish, a lot of trash constantly, and he paid for the streets to be cleaned up. I think just so he can drive his car and not have the eyesore as he drives around.
That's what I mean. That's what if I'm trying to put myself in that position, right? If I really don't care about the sentience of these animals, wouldn't it be more beneficial to just make sure that there's no dog charity in my neighborhood at all and just shoot every single dog that I see? Because that's how you really diminish the population. That's how you don't have the eyesore. So I do think, because he didn't do that there's at least a modicum of either press that is interesting
maybe,
for
but
him.
he also has to work within the sort of laws and the moral compass of the rest of the country, doesn't he? And even if he doesn't particularly care, I mean, other people in the area might have a problem with him just shooting all the dogs all of a sudden.
That's where the modicum of care might be, because he does understand the general moral.
Yeah, I don't know why he cares though. Does he care because he likes dogs? Because he's just said he wouldn't care if somebody else ate their own dog. So why does he care about the dogs on the street? And I can only come to think of it is because they're on the streets in the area where he lives, and he wants them out. He wants them gone for whatever reason.
That's a theory then. Okay, so
maybe,
we don't know
maybe
that.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Let's have a listen.
You got a photographic memory, mate. That was actually very spot on. You held that thought, didn't you?
Absolutely.
So actually, well, it doesn't matter to me whether or not they are my dog or my property or whatever. I look at the animal's inherent value. So it doesn't matter if that human being is my friend. It would matter more to me if they were my family. Yes, I would attack with violent force if necessary to defend them. But it also matters to me what happens to people I don't know. So in the same case with dogs, if I've seen someone attacking a dog, being cruel to a dog, then I'm going to probably run up and punch him in the head just as I would if they were my own dog, because I'd be like, what are you doing? And what reason do you have to do that? Now,
oh, sorry. I think
go ahead. Kill and eat pigs because
I think it's jumped. Let me just check.
All these pigs weren't just wandering around because you should cut their arms and legs off while they're alive. I mean, killing something is never. I sat here and said, "Oh, I care so much about bees. How can you eat this food that kills bees, etc."
I don't know why you would give a bunch of money to a dog charity if you didn't care about non-human animals.
I love dogs, but if you wanted to eat your dog, I would.
So it's gone back a bit, folks. So give me 1 minute.
Mm-hmm. In the meantime, maybe there's any questions in the
cover this for 5
right
seconds first, because
Yeah, it's jumped backwards for some inexplicable reason. Let's have a look.
I could try to reduce cruelty, but I think cruelty is completely just.
It's trying to find exactly where it jumped, but we'll go from there. Should we yeah, I mean, I think Leon's saying their charities are also PR stunts a lot of the time, and they're just looking for, sex trafficking, defrauding, and an a-hole otherwise. But yeah, it can
very
be a
well
good
maybe.
PR.
But let's be, I want to try and be as charitable as possible
Yeah.
because I feel that that's the most efficient way of
Yeah, but
having these conversations.
It could be for PR, but I don't think they need much PR. But
yeah, exactly.
But maybe they're trying to. I don't know. I say. It jumped. Vegan Postmortem was saying it may have jumped because they lost connection. Well, let's see where we're up to then.
Value. So, like, it doesn't matter if that human being is
We're
my
about right
friend.
now.
It would matter more to me if they were my family. Yes, I would attack with violent force if necessary to defend them. But it also matters to me what happens to people I don't know. So, in the same case with dogs, if I seen someone attacking a dog, being cruel to a dog, then I'm going to probably run up and punch him in the head just as I would if they were my own dog.
I think Joey's getting a bit too much into the alpha male thing going on here. He'd go up and punch them in the head. I may go and try and relieve the dog of it such, but I don't think I'm randomly running up to people and punching them in the head, to be fair, and breaking the law. But I definitely would act if I saw somebody, harming an animal in front of me for sure. But
it's not out of line to at least ask why you think that's justified, right?
Well, I certainly wouldn't run up with the fist flailing. Come on, Joey, don't buy into his alpha male thing. Don't start having cigars and the whiskey by the side of you every time you stream. Come on, you're better than this.
Because I'd be like, what are you doing, and what reason do you have to do that? Now, when you talk about other cultures doing something horrible to animals, it doesn't matter to me that it's their culture. It doesn't justify doing something bad just because it's your culture. There are good things about certain cultures. There are also bad things about certain cultures, and it doesn't morally justify an action just because it's cultural or whatever. So my question to you is, do you only care about, because I asked you about your dog, the dog charity. Not every dog at that charity is your dog. True?
Well, that's true, but I completely finance it, and the dogs are rescued from the streets. And you're saying, like, doing cruel things to animals, just because I eat meat doesn't mean that I advocate animal cruelty for no reason.
I saw you pulling the face there, Joy, so I thought I'd stop for a second. I think when he said that he finances the dog thing in its entirety, then maybe he classes the whole thing as his. So maybe it just goes back to it's my dog charity, and so they're all my dogs technically, and I finance the whole thing. So that's why I care about those ones. Maybe it's just another possession. He owns a dog charity. I don't know.
I don't know. I made a face just because I was focused. I'm interested in like his logic behind this, because there's like a bit of a contradiction there. Like, if you do not care about dogs at all, except because it's your property, then sure. But I don't know if that's the case with him. I'm still a bit confused on this.
We'll carry on. Maybe he'll enlighten us.
You see, I know it's cruel. I know factory farms are cruel. I know where my chickens come from. I know where my beef comes from. I'm not a stupid person. I've killed animals myself. I've killed pigs with knives, in fact, on a part of a reality TV show. So I'm not a coward. I know exactly where my food comes from. But to say...
I think it maybe classes you're a coward because you killed a helpless pig. That is when it was completely unnecessary. So maybe I would definitely...
It doesn't make you brave. I mean,
it certainly... I think maybe what he was trying to say is he's not a hypocrite in the fact that he says, you can't kill pigs, and then he eats pigs. I think he's saying that he's willing to do the dirty work if required. But I wouldn't have used the word... brave, or trying to make out that it requires some kind
I'm
of
saying
bravery.
it doesn't matter to the pig who slits the throat, right?
No, it's a strange thing.
About animal cruelty for no reason, to add that into the mix, I think is a bit disingenuous, because I'm not talking about kicking dogs. I'm talking about the charity that I run prevents animal cruelty because it prevents animals from being on the street. But that is not the same as people who run dog meat farms raising dogs for meat, because I understand what they're raising those dogs for, and they're perfectly entitled to do that. I could try to reduce cruelty, but I think cruelty is completely justified, completely, when it comes to getting fed. I think that the shark that could bite me in half is totally justified to bite me in half. The shark committed no moral evil, even if it bit me. What am I doing in the ocean anyway?
And if another human would do it, if like I'm wondering if he draws the line there.
Yeah, I mean, no one's blaming the shark here, the poor shark. Yeah, but no one's blaming the sharks. I mean, I don't get the shark references, to be fair. I mean,
He likes sharks.
he likes sharks. It's obvious, but yeah,
But he thinks it's completely justified if you use it for food. But then I'm wondering, okay, why from there on? Because according to like a lot of research, we don't need meat.
He's saying he's not in for cruelty's sake, but then he and you know he's.
What's the moral difference there? Because if
I
I do
know.
it for any different type of other pleasure, like if I just slit a throat
Yeah,
because
what's
I
the
like
difference between you're taking taste pleasure out of it, or you're taking some kind of sick pleasure out of hurting an animal? It's all for you to make yourself feel, happier in one way or another. It's still for a selfish reason. But yeah, he's quite contradictory on this one. He has this this place, where he gets the dogs off the streets and gets them rehoned, but then he doesn't care about animals.
I'm wondering where he stands on like the nutritional necessity of meat. Like that may actually be the point he's trying to make. So that's what I'd be curious about.
I mean, as far as I'm aware, him and his brother, and don't quote me on this, lived for nearly 3 years off not a particularly meat-heavy diet. I think there was some meat in it, but when they were brokies, I think as they would call themselves, they lived off something that they had a name for, like I think it was called flavor, which I think maybe was sarcasm because it had no flavor according to them, which was like peas, rice, kidney beans, and then some maybe ground beef in there. I don't know, but so they lived off that for like 3 years. So if you look at it that way, their primary sort of like food source was
makes sense.
Was plant based.
Because meat is quite it's perceived as a luxury in most of the world. Like in the Western world, a lot of people, we eat meat every day, almost for every meal. But it's actually quite a luxury item because it's very investment heavy.
Yeah. So I mean, he lived off a very plant-based, heavy sort of like diet for like 3 years. When you look at it that way, so
lots of protein, I bet.
Yeah, but I'd be curious what he says about the necessity for it, like nutritionally wise.
Yeah, you should stay out of the. I'm a big advocate for staying out of the ocean when the sharks are around. That's for sure.
Well, saying that's because I'm half black and black people hate the ocean. Like I just inherited it from there. I think.
Didn't know that.
I stay clear of the ocean, but
okay.
I think what you're talking about here is you're making the point. You're saying that cruelty is justified if you're gonna. Yeah. If you're going to eat the animal, basically, you can do whatever you want to them. Is that what your position is?
No, not whatever you want. Why would that be my position? I don't think you should cut their arms and legs off while they're alive. I mean, killing something is never going to be not
why would
cruel.
You care?
Why would you care? I genuinely, if somebody was raising an animal for food, let's say a chicken, and cut its wings off when it was alive, I honestly wouldn't care that much about the chicken. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to pretend that I would care. I do think it's unnecessary. I wouldn't do it. But you can't kill something in a non-cruel way. Killing something is always cruel. So the cruelty you have to see cruelty as justifiable if you're going to eat meat. Wouldn't you agree with that at least?
Well,
yeah, good point. I agree with that.
I mean, that is a valid point. If you're gonna, I mean, he didn't. At least he didn't try and skirt around that, which a lot of people try and do, and say, oh well, we kind of give him his best welfare. They're all right until the very end, and all the usual nonsense that comes through there. At least he's fully aware. Not that it's changing his mind, I don't think, but at least he's fully aware that. When you kill an animal for any reason, it can't be done humanely. It's always an element of some form of cruelty and pain and suffering that's involved in there. But he just doesn't care because he likes buckets of KFC.
He says it must be justifiable, and that's a good one. I agree with that. So I'm wondering where he draws the line there. Like, what is justifiable to him?
I think we'll have to see, but I mean, I'm preemptively thinking it's justifiable if he wants it.
I'm curious what he thinks.
But see if he's got any other reasons. I'll try and not click the wrong button here.
Well, there's something called the welfare movement, and there's two sides of this story here. There's obviously factory farming, which most people agree is bad, but they mostly support it through their
I don't think it's bad.
Consumer habits. Do you think factory farming is bad?
No. I think it's a miracle that we can have 7 billion, 8 billion people on a planet and we can all feed them. And anywhere in the world I go, anywhere on earth I go, if I want a steak or a chicken breast or some eggs, I can get hold of them. I think the food supply chain that humans have built and constructed in order to raise this great civilization is incredible. And I know that involves factory farms. So no, I don't think factory farms are unjustifiable in any way. Are they cruel? Maybe. But I don't care. I think it's an amazing feat of human ingenuity.
I mean, I think he knows it's cruel because he said you cannot kill or an animal without cruelty. So it's not, is it, maybe it's cruel. He's already said that it has to be cruel because he's already said with his own words that any form of killing an animal has to be cruel inherently. So I don't know why now it's, but now he likes factory farms, so maybe it's a bit cruel.
Yeah, but hold on, because the point he made before, like it's a miracle that we can feed them, that I can go anywhere in the world and get, steak and eggs and stuff. First off, that's not true because it's a luxury product for a lot of people. You can't go anywhere and do that. And second, if we're talking about the miracle of being able to feed it, it's not thanks to factory farms. It's in spite of them that we definitely cannot feed all people, because we can feed how many billion animals do we currently have in terms of land animals? I believe at the moment it's like 14 billion. Don't quote me on those numbers, but it's 8 billion people, and it's significantly more animals that we're feeding every day.
Yeah, and if you include fish, etc., then then we're getting up into a lot more. But
so that does not add up.
No, I can look at the supply chain, and I'm not gonna narrow it down to animals because obviously that's not something I believe we need to do. But yeah, the supply chain for the world, for general goods, food, anything. Yeah, it's an amazing system, and it's an amazing fee that we can ship things around the world, and I can get like fruits from the different countries. Yeah, it's utterly amazing. But we don't need. But the same supply chain that does that also, I get my fruits and my vegetables and my tofu and everything else. So yeah, it might be a great system, but no.
Sorry, I gotta disagree with you on that.
No, a great system for what it's designed for is to get food around to the populace. Do you not think that generally I'm not saying it's ideal, but you got to really, it's a feat of engineering, maybe is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, sure. It may be a fantastic feat of logistics, but I think it's failing so many people around the world. Like human
yeah. I'm not saying it's ideal. I'm just saying it is a feat of logistics, if you will, is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, no, but it's I would not say that this system is by any means ideal. I think that we are sacrificing a lot of quality of life and a lot of life in general for a luxury product, which we don't actually need. Because we use a lot of land to grow cattle feed instead of growing actual food for humans.
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? We feed so much, like you say, grains, etc., to cattle and other animals that if we stopped having, if we stopped farming animals and we just grew crops instead, we'd have a lot more land. It'd be better for the environment. We'd have a lot more food, so we could feed a lot more people. So maybe it would have an impact on the starvation around the world if we got the food to the right places. Obviously,
we could feed more humans with less land, because we wouldn't need to feed such a tremendous amount of animals anymore, and we wouldn't need to monocrop as much, because a lot of people will criticize vegans for eating soy, but the majority of soy goes towards animal agriculture. You can see a direct line with the soy industry. That's why everything has soy oil now, because it's not a particularly efficient soy crop. You see a direct line with the soy industry versus the meat industry, if you look at those statistics.
Yeah,
it's,
I mean,
everyone calls us animals. Wow.
Everyone always calls us soy boys. We're not, we're not the main ones, eating soy on this planet. It's the farmed animals that eat most of it. So, and therefore, meat eaters eat a lot of soy too, because it's what the animals ate to get to the before they were slaughtered to the size, isn't it? So that if anyone's a soy boy, I would call him a soy boy, because his food depends on it.
Indirectly, he would eat probably more soy, because that cow had to be alive for like a set amount of time before he would be able to eat it.
Yeah, let's carry on with him anyway.
Okay, I think I'm getting closer here to your position here.
I don't think you.
I think you, but just forgive me here if I don't want to come across as rude or anything like that. But
Go
before
right
I
ahead.
thought you said, so you said factory farming is cruel.
Yeah, and cruelty can be
But now
justified.
you're saying cruelty can be justified if you're going to eat the animal. Is what your position is? Yeah.
Yeah.
Around
let's
let's just unpack it, because if we can't even agree that being cruel to animals is bad, then we won't really have to talk about animal rights, which is what I advocate for. I advocate for the rights of the animal, their right to life. Even if you say, if you shot a human in the back of the head, that's murder. You've basically taken away their right to exist. You've violated their rights, and it doesn't matter if
To a human, yes.
If you've caused them suffering or not. Shooting someone in the head if they didn't feel it is murder. Yeah.
Shooting a person in the head is murder. Yeah. Thou shalt
So
not
it does
kill.
hold humans to a different standard.
And you violated their human rights, haven't you? You violated their right to life, essentially. Yeah.
And I did notice that "Thou shalt not kill" from the Bible came up there as well. So I think we may get some more, I wouldn't say excuses, but some more reasons why he thinks it's okay. Even though I class it as an excuse, but there we go.
Yeah, I mean, the Human Rights Act is a very real thing. There was no Human Rights Act up until the 1960s, is it? I think the European Union came up with it. But no, I don't think that animals get the same rights as humans. No way. Absolutely not.
Okay. Well, what I'm saying is we don't even really need to talk about animal rights right now. We can just talk about animal cruelty, which is different. It's their welfare, which is, like they're people that believe you can be kind to an animal before you kill them. But you're taking the position that factory farming is like a great invention, and it's like amazing that we can feed 8 billion people 80 billion animals that suffer in these horrible sheds.
Yes.
Right. And because I'm actually, I don't know if you know about this, but I investigate these farms constantly in the UK. We do a lot of investigations and exposes.
I saw your video about the pigs and gas chambers.
But he's done no research.
There we go. So that's free-range pigs go to this gas chamber.
Do I think that's wrong?
Do you think it's wrong that they suffer for 30 seconds to a minute in a dungeon filled with gas and in their own feces, screaming for mercy?
I actually don't. I don't care at all. I think that there's no kind way of killing something, and killing something is necessary to keep up the meat production of the world. So I think it's perfectly fine. I obviously, it'd be nice if you could click your fingers and they just completely drop out of consciousness. There was a way of killing things that was 100% harmless or pleasurable. That would be preferable, I guess, but there isn't. I don't want to be killed. Do you?
Well, there we go.
It definitionally wouldn't be pleasurable, would it? Like if you cannot get the consent, which you can't from an animal, then. I'm sorry, I don't get this one.
I don't get it. What's he insinuating? We should maybe get them high, just before. I mean, I don't understand where he's going with that. Let me just hold up my brightness a second. Do you want to speak about what we've just?
And why, if he doesn't care about that, why does he prefer to have snap your finger and have them drop out of consciousness? Like, why care about that then?
Yeah. I mean, he's quite contradictory in certain ways. He doesn't care, but then he cares. He doesn't care, but he cares.
And he does. And he does and doesn't hold people to the same moral standard as some animals, because he just mentioned the shark example again. Before he said that there is no difference, or at least he implied that by giving that as an example. And now he's saying that there is a moral difference, that he is holding humans to a different moral standard, because he said that he would mind if a human would come up to you and shoot you in the head. So that's a confusing point for me.
I mean, I think he did. Did he mention the Bible again though? Because he obviously in the Bible, human killing
Thou shalt not kill. Yeah,
is classed as a sin or whatever. But yeah, I think we'll have to. I mean, we'll see what more he has to say. But there's no way he's going to class animals on the same level as humans. Like non-human animals. I'm picking myself up on that then. But. Let's just get this out of the way before we carry on. Do you, Joy, class non-human animals and humans, on the exact same level of importance? Because I'm sure this is going to come up. I mean, do you think they are exactly the same level? I mean, they don't need to be on the exact level to stop killing them, I know. But do you think they're equal in worth?
On a personal level, no. I obviously have my own bias, but I don't draw the line at life or intelligence. I draw the line at sentience. So my moral consideration should be based on what I can realistically get to know about the animal's sentience. And if they're capable of suffering, then I think that they are worthy of moral consideration
Yeah.
that is fitting for something with sentience.
Yeah, me too. And even though I feel exactly the same way you do there, I also feel, you know, that maybe I am still slightly speciesist, because I must admit I think I probably do favor my own species over any other, you know, and but this doesn't mean in any way that I want to take part in any kind of abuse or murder of any other animal, but I probably do, and I think maybe
But is that
that's just inherently built into us, maybe, because you'll find a lot of, you know, because we are animals, you know, and a lot of animals in the animal kingdom will walk by their own species, but then, you know, maybe kill a gazelle, you know, a few hundred yards down the road.
but is that necessarily speciesist?
No,
'Cause
I don't know. Maybe
I don't
it's
think so.
inherently. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure. But
'Cause
let me know in the.
I also value some humans over others if I purely look at my personal bias.
There is that.
So,
But
you know, it's not about the fact that they are animals, it's about my personal connection with them. But that's purely separate from my moral understanding of like the, you
yeah,
know, the philosophy behind it.
yeah. Let us know in the chat if you will. I mean, do you guys feel that humans and non-human animals are exactly the same in your, not just generally, in your mind, exactly the same sort of moral worth? You know, would you know, I'm not saying that you have to want to harm animals or anything like that. Would you class them as exactly the same? Do you feel exactly the same? You know, it's just an interesting, because obviously Tristan's not going to, is he? He seems like he's going to be like, humans are humans, animals are animals, and everything, anything we do to animals is fine because, you know, reasons.
I'm not seeing a clear separation so far. Maybe that will come up. But in his argumentation between like his like objective moral ideas versus his own personal bias, because it's fine to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
But I'm not really seeing a clear difference in that. And I think that's why he's contradicting himself on a few points. And that's, you know, that's out of charitability that I'm saying that, because I do want to get as good of an argument as possible out of it. But that, I think that that's where they're getting stuck right now.
Yeah. It's yeah, definitely.
No, I don't want to be murdered. I don't want to suffer in a gas chamber.
But I like to eat bacon, and somebody has to kill the pigs.
Ooh, they
But it's a reality of eating
flesh,
meat.
but it is a reality. I mean, but to
sometimes.
say
They
you
have
don't
trouble
care at
with
all
connections.
about these animals suffering to death, like in this gas chamber, seems a bit like you're lacking empathy that most of the population would have.
I mean, it's a pig. It was raised for a reason. And also, my position is this on pigs and cows and, you know, dogs, on all of these things. There's not a single farm animal, almost. There's not a single farm animal which exists exactly as it is on the farm out in nature. All of these things were produced by humans. Pigs in nature, I've seen them. They're short and fucking muscly and brown and hairy, and they've got tusks, and they're fast and they're dangerous. The big, fat, lazy pink pigs exist because we bred them to be that way. Every single form of cattle, every single form is descendant of the European oryx, which has been extinct for over 400-something years. Humans have created these animals through selective breeding. In fact, if you wanted to make an argument not to eat dogs, I'd understand it a bit more than cows and pigs, because dogs were selectively bred by people, but not for food. Dogs were selectively bred by people to be hunters and to be retrievers. That's why they still have these names today. But if someone wants to eat a dog, I still don't care. And you have to understand, and everyone has to understand, that all these pigs weren't just wandering around the countryside when we decided to show up and kill them. They were specifically bred for that purpose. That's why they get so fat so fast. That's why you can feed them almost anything and they put on body mass. So yeah, the unfortunate last 30 seconds of a pig's life where it suffers in a gas chamber is completely fine with me. It really is, because that's how it goes from farm to table.
Because we've bred them to do that.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with him up until the last point, because it's not just 30 seconds that they're suffering most of the time.
No,
but
yeah,
completely
he's
aside
not
from that.
lying about how we've genetically modified the pigs to be and all the other animals to be a certain way to make them easier to do what we want to do with them, and give us what we want. Well, not that I want it, but you know what I mean. But the last point there, whereas the last 30 seconds of their lives, but everything, he acts like they've been in. He said earlier on he knew all about factory farms, and it didn't bother him. But now he's saying, it's only 30 seconds where they suffer. what does he think the rest of their lives are like in these farms? He sounded like he knew what he was talking about. You know, at least he was aware of what happened in the factory farms.
Sure, but
Makes me think
even
now
if
he
that is
thinks they're all
true,
pillows and you know, in cushions and massages. I mean, and then 30 seconds of pain and destruction. I mean, it's a strange.
but even if that's true, even if it's goes the way that he says it does, I don't think that it morally justifies that we are, as a vegan, I mainly have an issue with how we breed these animals. That's like one of the main things that I take issue with. I think it's incredibly immoral to breed an animal to the point where they, chickens, they constantly prolapse, they sink through their feet. They, same with pigs. It's, I don't think that justifies anything. I think that makes it worse.
And I don't think it's a good argument anyway, that, oh, well, we bred them into existence. That's what they're there for. Well, it's quite simple. Stop breeding them. It's yeah, I agree. We bred them into existence, so we can use them in the food chain, etc., or for clothing or whatever. But it's not a great argument because it's not 100%, it's not necessary. It's only necessary if you want to consume their bodies, which is what he's saying, or to wear their bodies, which is what he does. But that's not necessary. And, I can be fat and lazy, and pink. It doesn't mean that, I believe I should get less moral consideration, for my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you were bred by your creator to do that.
They're not exactly how right they would be in the wild, but that doesn't mean that they should then be made to suffer and die for unnecessary reasons. But I think this is the crux of it: is he thinks it's for a necessary reason because he wants the bucket of chicken.
I really wish. I hope Joey is still gonna press a bit more on that. Like, why exactly does he think it's necessary? Because that is interesting. That would form an interesting argument.
Joey's great. I mean, I love Joey, but he does seem to feel like he's slightly on the back foot. Like he didn't quite know that it was. I don't think he expected somebody to care so little.
Yeah, but it's also easy for us to talk. Like we have the ability to pause and think about it and rewind.
Exactly. But that's what I mean. Joey's great, and he's always great on the fly as well. But I don't think he really expected. As many of us won't, because you don't often come across people who. I mean, I suppose that's one thing you can say about Tate is I'm not sure if he's been completely honest, but at least he admits he doesn't give a shit.
I think they're both kind of moving on too quickly. Like they're both not really answering or asking further about the other one's opinion. Like, okay, why do you think that? I think that they're too quick in moving on to the next issue. Like they don't really dig deep into either of them. And I understand that you want to, talk about a variety of things, but it's sometimes good to dig a little deeper and really ask why someone thinks that.
Yeah, I mean, Cherie's saying it's unusual for someone to come across with so little compassion, but I mean, I've always wondered this. I mean, and this is what when I first saw some clips from the stream, I thought to myself, is this a good thing that we can see, somebody with all the most of, I won't say all, most of the facade dropped, most of the I do care about animals, but and I do want to change, but they never do, or a lot of people maybe more like Tristan than vegans want to actually think. Are more people like him with a facade of that they think will be tolerable by society, but because he's reached such a point in his life where he's got so much money and so much of he wants something, he goes and gets it, that he doesn't feel the need to have that facade anymore. And you're just getting the raw, I don't give a shit about anything or these animals at all. I mean, how many of these meat eaters out there, if they got to the level of him, would say the exact same thing? I mean, would they even bother with the facade? Because they have to go to work with people, and if you act like this and you're in a workplace, then people go, oh, that guy doesn't. He's very uncaring. I think he's like a psychopath or something like that. So they have to give you this image of, oh, well, I do care, and I try to buy my meat ethically, and I always buy the red tractor, and I'm trying to cut down, and I had meatless Monday, and I'm doing this. Whereas I don't know. I mean.
I prefer people straightforward. Like if you really say you don't care about something, I'm fine. But then we're gonna look into why. Then I feel like it's fine to ask.
Yeah, I think what I'm saying is, are more people actually really like him? They just don't show it.
I don't know. I honestly,
you'd like to think not, wouldn't you?
Well,
maybe-
I don't know. Like, I
but if
think a
they
lot
are-
of people just
but-
haven't put that amount of thought into it. And this is not meant in any condescending way. I was just like that. I just didn't think about it all that much. I wasn't confronted with the reality of it by nobody.
Yeah, but
And
that's
I'm sorry,
us,
I just
isn't
got
it?
distracted by the Pomerian comment. Is that true? Are Pomerian eggs a real thing? What the?
All right.
I think you're joking
not
here. 'Cause,
sure.
like,
But yeah, it's maybe it is a thing. I don't know. But
you know what? I'm gonna quickly.
yeah, but I'm not sure. And if there are more people out there like him who feel it but don't want to vocally say it because it makes them look terrible, maybe that's something that is good for vegans to be aware of. That there are a lot of people maybe out there that might be like this under the facade of caring, and that's what we're up against. And maybe it's good that we know there are people out there like him that we have to. That we have to come up against it when we're trying to show the world that they should be vegan.
I'm just looking up Pomerian heat.
You're looking at the Pomeranian eggs.
I absolutely am. Like, I want to know now. I think that's funny as hell.
Well,
I can't see really anything about it. Like, I just entered Pomerian periods.
I'm going to distract you now by just playing the video.
Yeah, go do it.
There's no
Go ahead, do
happy
that.
way of doing it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like for me, if they didn't suffer in a gas chamber, it's wrong to murder them. Like for me, similar to murdering a human being. But we can talk about.
So how should we murder them?
Well, I don't think we should murder them. I don't think it's morally justifiable because I've been vegan for 10 years and haven't had to stab an animal in the throat yet. Since I've been vegan.
I stabbed it in the chest, for the record.
I've seen you. I know that you're on Shipwrecked and you were advocating for killing the animals on the island.
I did kill them.
Now you're not on an island now. You're actually multi-millionaire and you can eat whatever you want. You got personal chefs, but you'll still choose to. You don't need to eat animals, do you? Do you believe you need to, or you just said that it's tasty, you want to?
Yeah, well, I want to, and I understand that in today's society with supermarkets and all the miracles that you guys talk about, that you can exist on a vegan diet. Yeah, but so that means I could, right? Because I live in the 21st century. I live here in a first world country with supermarkets and food that you can buy everywhere. So yeah, I'm not one of the Maasai people of Africa. I'm not a hunter-gatherer. I'm not one of the people who lives in southern Gujarat in India who has to depend on fish. I understand that I have a choice of what I can eat. I understand that. And I eat meat, and that's the way it is. I like meat, and I don't see anything wrong with meat, and I don't care that the animals have to die because it's just an unfortunate part of being part of the food chain. Just as a shark or a crocodile or a polar bear wouldn't care if it was eating me or my child. It wouldn't care. No. And as much as I'd be a bad parent if I let my daughter get near a polar bear, I could not argue the polar bear did anything morally wrong by eating a person. I don't think you can.
Would you
At least we've moved on from sharks to polar bears.
Yeah, and now we're back to the other standard again, back to a different standard for both humans and bears. But okay, so he believes he has a choice, and then the question would be, so why choose this? But he also says that he talks about it takes away from, he talks about the food chain. But that initial argument, you believe you have a choice, takes away the argument of the food chain. So he's stepping from one thing to the other, and I'm wondering what the logic is behind this.
Yeah, it's hard to see where he's going because, as I say, he does seem a little bit all over the show, with it. But maybe he just thinks the alpha persona and the surety of saying it with full confidence, will just make it fine. It's hard to say.
I do realize, I just want to mention, I do realize we're kind of, we're picking every single argument apart, and we're maybe kind of critical of both, like Tate and Joey Carbstrong. That's because that's what we're here for. We're reviewing the arguments. It is not like a personal attack.
No, we love
just
Joey.
want to make that.
And to be fair, I don't know much about Tristan Tate at all, but
me neither. So that's fine.
So yeah, I know they're going through a lot of other stuff in the news, etc. Now with trials, etc.
I would want people to equally dig into my argumentation here. So feel free to do that.
Yeah, and I'm not having to go at Joey. It's brave of him to go into these sorts of situations, and he puts himself in all kinds of things for the animals. And I love the guy. He's amazing, but I can see that it's just coming up against sort of an immovable object, and it would be hard for anyone in this circumstance. I think it certainly would.
Would you shoot the polar bear to protect your daughter?
I'd shoot a polar bear to eat it, given half a chance.
Yeah, but I'm saying, would you shoot? You would obviously, if your human was about to be eaten by like a polar bear, would you shoot the polar bear to protect the human being? Say you didn't know the human.
I'd shoot a human to protect another human into the right circumstances.
Me
People
too.
do it all the time.
Me too.
Yeah,
me too. 100%. I would use lethal force to protect someone's life.
Absolutely,
100%. And my family's and whatever.
Someone is.
I'm not against killing. I'm not against killing, like per se. If it can be, I believe killing can be justified in certain situations, right?
Why? How?
What I am against?
No, continue.
What I am against is, well, I'm just against innocent beings being enslaved and decapitated so I can eat a piece of their body. That there, I don't think is justified. So there's a difference between justifiable, like killing to protect self-defense, things like this, and unjustifiable killing for a bacon sandwich, a bit of taste pleasure or whatever.
I don't make that difference at all. I can't make that distinction, and I certainly don't put animal lives and human lives on the exact same plane of importance at all. Like a lot of do you think that pigs and cows are as important as people? Do you feel their lives are worth as much as a person's life?
Before.
I got my answer though.
Well, what we could do is we could do a little. We could play it's like a logical consistency test, and it's.
Yeah, so I think we were saying this before, and I think this we may have preempted it slightly before. But I think from what I recall now, Joey's going to try and get onto the sort of name the trait sort of scenario, but sorry, I don't think this goes anywhere for him. But we'll see. I don't think they end up actually playing name the trait because. No,
but I did just got my answer. Like I wondered if it was a different kind of pleasure other than taste pleasure or food pleasure or whatever. He just said that he doesn't make a distinction between that. Did I hear that correctly?
Possibly, yeah. I think I won't rewind just for the fact that I'll probably go all over the show. But yeah, I don't think he cares what the reason is. If he classes it as something that he needs in his life, maybe food, clothing, or anything else, I think he finds that justifiable with animals. He doesn't class them as on the same level as humans whatsoever. But I'm not saying he has to see them exactly the same, but I don't think he sees them on any level near the same.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. Yeah.
So it's for this exact topic what you're bringing up right now.
Is it a word trap? I'm ready if it is, but go ahead.
It's not a word trap. It's just basically we share a common morally relevant trait with animals, and it's our conscious experience. Now, you could say that we have more intelligence in animals, of course. Especially, we could use a pig, for example. Pigs are more intelligent than dogs. Okay, we know that scientifically, or they're at least comparable, and in some studies do better. In some studies, dogs do better, but they're about on par or better in certain studies.
Pigs taste better.
Let's say we have is there something about animals, right? When you look at, say, a pig, is there something about that pig that obviously I don't think you would agree with putting human beings in gas chambers to eat them for bacon? Yeah, you make a distinction.
Well, of course I wouldn't. Okay. Why would I want to eat a human being? In fact, if you give me 60 seconds, let me tell you something that humans and animals have in common.
Is there anything before we carry on? Do you want to pick up anything there that he said, or is there anything that you found remotely interesting about that section, or?
Yeah, but just what Joey just said about intelligence, he didn't really go too deep into it, but that's not a factor that I deem too important. I don't use intelligence as a measure there. I don't care about that.
No, I mean, I think sometimes we compare pigs and dogs, etc., to say pigs are more intelligent, just to say, well, because people normally love dogs for the most part in Western society, and you're just trying to make them realize that there's not much difference between the two. But it's not really a relevant sort of trait in my opinion either. But we'll see.
It's a very basic concept that almost every animal in the world has in common, besides octopus and a few others. It's called the preservation of one's own species. So if you take a piranha, tiny little angry fish with a brain the size of a pea, you put any piece of meat or a human or a horse or a dog or a pig into that pond and it's bleeding, the piranhas are going to rip it apart. But piranhas don't eat other piranhas. No species survives if it does. The preservation of one's own species is more important than the preservation of other species. That's why lions don't hunt and eat other lions. That's why they eat other things. So if you want to talk about traits that we have in common, then I, as a human, saying, yeah, screw the pig, I'm going to eat him, and I'm not going to kill and eat other humans, there's something that we have in common with every other species. Because I'm not interested in killing or eating humans, and I don't think killing humans is right almost ever. There's almost no justifiable reason to murder somebody or to be cruel to somebody. But pigs, I simply don't care about like humans.
The human species murder each other all the time.
I know, but I don't.
Humans are some of the most sick, evil animal on earth. I mean, we find the most creative ways to torture and murder each other. We murder each other.
Well, before we go too far, actually, I'll just pause it there. That's okay. Yeah. So, any thoughts on that one, Joy?
Yeah. He just said preservation of species. Well, he just said that he is convinced that eating meat, at least for him, is not necessary. At least that's what I got from his other point. Like, I live in a first world country, that bit. Like, I think maybe that stems from his idea that we have this miracle of logistics, that we can feed the entire world with that, because I think that's still his opinion. I don't agree with that, but from that perspective, I can understand the idea. Well, then it still doesn't follow, does it? It still doesn't follow that the preservation of species.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I haven't looked into the science of it. I can imagine generally, and I think I mentioned it a bit earlier. I can generally imagine that there are certain animals that are adverse to maybe eating their own species under normal circumstances, but they don't tend to. They don't tend to be outside. I mean, I'm not an expert, but now I think about it, they tend not to be outside their own, say, packs, etc. Do they? So, like lions and stuff are in their own packs and things. So, but maybe, but if a rogue lion came up to their pack, another rogue male lion, then maybe they would kill it and eat it. I mean, I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I've not investigated. I would assume they would. And he says piranhas. I mean, I'm sure if there was a piranha caught itself on a rock and started bleeding, then the other piranhas would probably eat it.
Yeah, look, cannibalism is extremely common in the animal world. Even, a lot of parents cannibalize their own children. It's, for me, that this just doesn't follow.
I mean, doesn't it happen even in some of the great apes, where they can eat their own children, etc. So I don't think he's right on that one. I mean, I think generally maybe animals don't eat people in their own sort of like group.
They do, all the time.
Oh, do they? Well, I'm in that case. Then he's completely wrong.
Especially their own children, and that's within your own pack.
Yeah, suppose so. Yeah. So maybe he's looking at him and I both got that wrong, because I didn't. I know that there are animals that eat their own species, but I thought there'd be maybe less of it. If you were a pack of lions, say, I think there'd be less likelihood of them eating one of their pack than maybe taking down a gazelle, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, there is definitely merit to the argument of, okay, sometimes animals look out for each other and prefer to not eat their own offspring, or at least their own little group on which they depend.
But I think if a young lion cub or whatever rolled in from a different pack, I don't think they would have too many problems with eating it.
I think it's just impractical to eat your own species, because if something is your same size, then you're not going to bother trying to kill it, are you? You're going to go after the gazelle or after the whatever.
I mean, the humans have eaten humans in the past and probably still do in certain places. I'm sure there's been this cannibalism in humans as well, isn't there? They used to do. I think it would be quite in certain areas of the world. It was quite a practice at some point, wasn't it, with cannibalism?
There's still some places who do that. Like, some of those stories are definitely completely made up. Some horror stories are definitely, kind of honestly racist and made up. But there is definitely some merit to the idea that there are still people who cannibalize.
Yeah, so I think if we're looking it through the Disney lens, where all the fishes swim together in the sea, and all the lions constantly happy with each other, and sharks never eat other sharks, or whatever. But I'm sure there was a bleeding shark, and other sharks got the scent, and then I'm sure they'd all start chowing down, to be fair, I think maybe he's looking at that incorrectly, but I haven't done a lot of research on it
also
myself.
Predators are generally not very meaty. That may be an additional thing.
Yeah, I know, I get you there.
Each other en masse, murder children. Human beings are not some amazing species, moral species. I mean, we created morality. We can act morally.
God created morality, my friend, and humans know it's wrong. And if a human doesn't know it's wrong, then we can argue that there's something wrong with that human. He is a defective person.
I just would like to stick, if we may, I would like to stick on this point about humans and animals. You have a separator here. You wouldn't want to see humans factory farmed and put in these places. So there's got to be a trait that's different. And now, are you saying that the trait that separates humans from and animals, that it's like a morally relevant trait that we possess that the animals do not possess?
Yeah, it's that they're not. It's that they're not humans. I care about the preservation of my own species because I'm not a psychopath. Whereas a pig is not a human, and I'm not interested in the preservation of pigs.
What do you mean by species? Like human? What do you mean by human? We are human. Is it something about our DNA or something like that? A multitude of factors. Is it because we are more intelligent and it's our DNA? Or I just want to find out what these.
I feel like God's differences are.
Well, as somebody who doesn't believe in God, I'll speak in your language, because if somebody who doesn't believe in God, they will say that every species evolved independently in and of itself, and humans are. Yeah, it is our DNA. It's the fact that I can mate with another human and create another human. Everyone knows what a human is, but I would say a human is made in the image of God. That's what I would say. And a pig is not made in the image of God. It certainly is not made in the image of God. Neither is a cow. In fact, cows and pigs are made in the image of what humans made them into. So as a religious person, there's no argument you could possibly give me to see any lower life form or any animal besides a human as equal to a human, because animals aren't made in the image of God.
Yeah, which is back to the beginning. This is
Yeah, he's just gone straight back to God gives me permission to eat any animal I want, isn't it? So it's no real different.
And we bred them. But
yeah, and we bred them. So he's just repeating himself there. I don't think there's any more sort of ground to cover on there. But other than the fact he's mentioned that in Christianity humans are in the image of God. Yeah, I mean, it's a funny one, because I've always struggled. How would you convince somebody with such a staunch belief that animals are so inferior to us and God put them here for us to eat? I mean, yeah. I mean, even if I go down his train of thought that God put animals on the planets for humans to eat if they want to, there's no mandate for it, for a start. You know, so there's that. But there's the other thing is, humans do all sorts of things I'm sure God wouldn't approve of. And he's already said that he thinks factory farms are an amazing invention. I mean, I would like to think, and I don't know, because neither does he really. No one knows. But if there is a God up there, and he looks down, he thinks, well, I did tell you could eat the animals if necessary, but I never told you could put 10,000 of them in a little barn, make them really sick and ill,
breed them into these monsters,
constantly breed them into existence, and perpetuate the misery, and then kill them in horrific manners like gas chambers. So I don't think anywhere does it state in the Bible that they may do those practices. So even if he thinks animals are here to do with what he wants to a degree, I mean, I think that surely he realizes that there's a level, even as a meat eater, that things become totally and utterly unacceptable, but he doesn't seem to care.
No, and just to go back to what you were saying, I definitely think there's interesting conversations to be had, with any religious individual of any religion about the use of animals, because I don't know what his specific beliefs are. Like he just mentioned, like his denomination, I forgot precisely what it was, but every denomination.
Did he say Orthodox Christian? I can't remember.
Yeah, that's one I believe, and. Like from that perspective, we can look at the Bible, we can have discussions about the word dominion and what it means. We can look at whether or not the Bible obligates you to eat meat, which I don't think it does. So I think you can still hold people accountable and ask them, okay, so why do you choose to do this? Because he does seem to believe that it's choice.
If you were to say, like, the Bible says you have the dominion over the animals, well, let's just go for dominion then. So does dominion generally mean we have control over the animals? We are in charge of the animals?
Like I said, I think it implies. You know what? Let me see dominion.
Yeah, because
definition. Just to make sure that I'm not talking.
I mean, it may say other things, but the one thing he did say was dominion. That was the word he used. So we might as well clarify the exact meaning of the word.
Yes, it says here, like this is just the Google definition. So just bear with me. Oh wait, here's the Merriam-Webster. Dominion stresses sovereign power or supreme authority given dominion over all the animals.
So you have a supreme authority over
But
them.
the thing is,
I class
like
myself as
dominion
having
implies an obligation rather than complete control, or rather than allowing someone to do whatever they want with them. Like you mentioned, you have control over you have dominion over your child.
Yeah, but I don't put them on a sandwich.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's the main difference between dominion and ownership.
I mean, I think the thing is as well with the Bible. I mean, I'm no expert on the Bible by any means, but you have entire people who dedicate their life to different translations and different meanings. And what did the Bible mean here, and what did the Bible mean there? You know, so it's altogether hard to pin other people down as well, because like one person might say, yeah, he says you have dominion over them, so you have to make sure that you look out for their interests, maybe, and, you know, and you make sure that there are, you know, that they're, you know, that they survive, and you know, etc. And then another person might well say, no, my dominion, in my opinion, means I get to do with them whatever I want, including like cutting them into pieces and eating them. You know, so but there's many other aspects of the Bible, I'm sure, where people like theologians have spent years and years, you know, trying to come up with the meanings of different chapters and different words and different verses and different things. You know, so it's a bit of a minefield, really. But
That's why it's so
again,
important to have these conversations. Like that's why I actually quite enjoy talking about these topics. I mean, I'm an atheist. I'm agnostic atheist, like I said, but I find discussions about religion very interesting as well as discussion about veganism. So I always think, I do think it's worth it to you know, ask these questions, because you learn a lot about the different perspectives that exist within Christianity, religion in general, and also within veganism. Because if you would ask a vegan the same question, you were going to get different answers every single time.
yeah. I mean, Racely was saying the Bible's use of dominion doesn't mean harm and kill to devour needlessly. No, I didn't think so either. But it's, again, I think with Tristan and probably many other people who use this particular phrase or word from the Bible as an excuse to carry on harming animals, is in it suits their narrative. It suits what they want. You know. They don't put. I mean, no offense, Tristan, but how many things that are also in the Bible have you broke? Your promiscuity. I mean, I mean, I don't want to say anything, but it's quite well known that you've gone through a fair share of women in your life. I don't think you were married to them all. You know,
he can make can make a moral distinction. I think he's making clear just by having a podcast and cigars that he can make a moral distinction or a moral decision outside of the perspective of the Bible.
Yeah.
I think.
So exactly. I mean, if he's willing to go
That's
against the
reasonable.
Bible and have sex before marriage, which he's definitely done, you know, but then he chooses to pick up on the Bible and says, well, it gives permission to eat animals. The same way as he says, well, you know, with a shark, you know, he likes the idea that sharks can eat animals because if they can eat them, so can he, sort of thing. But then again, he doesn't want to go swimming in the ocean his entire life. So he's picking up, like most people do, with whatever they think allows them to justify their behavior and using it. It's like people, well, lions eat meat. Yeah, lions also sniff other lions' arses. Next time you greet me, remember to have a good old smell, you know.
Like, I don't really, like, I understand your point, and I do understand, but it's, you know, I don't really care if people have different ideas about, you know, what they pick and choose in the Bible to follow.
No.
I think it's really interesting to go into why. Why do you find that one more important than the other one?
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. You know,
Yeah.
he doesn't follow certain rules, but he follows others. Why have you chosen to follow that rule and not the other one?
Okay,
You
well,
know?
I don't know what exactly he follow. You're talking about
Yeah, I mean,
promiscuity?
he's well known. I'm not just making it up. He's well known to have slept with a lot of people.
Okay.
But the Bible says
Sure.
that you can't do that until you're married, and you can't, you know, have sex with somebody. As far as I'm aware, it just says you can't have sex with people until you're married. So, but he wanted to have sex with people, so he ignored that.
Yeah, then I'd be interested. You know, I'd rather take it per topic rather than look at the Bible and pick and you know, pinpoint exactly where you know, he's following it or not following it. I don't really.
No, I'm not going to go into any more.
Yeah.
It was just a thing. He picks out the bits that he wants and he ignores the other bits. Is what I'm trying to say. But we can carry on and see what they're saying now. Anyway.
So if there were a species of human beings that look exactly like us but weren't made in God's image, and they shared like all of our morally relevant traits, like the consciousness experience, they could experience the same level and depth of suffering as us, except they weren't made in the image of God. But you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between being that, like, you know, so we were made in the image of God, and there's a group that aren't. Let's just say they evolved separately from us.
Sure.
But
So
you wouldn't be able to tell us apart. Is it okay? Let me finish my point and then I'll let you go. But I was just wondering, is it okay to do to them what we do to animals because they're not made in the image of God, and you wouldn't be able to tell us apart, really?
If I'm correct, isn't an octopus an insanely intelligent animal with a very complicated nervous system that feels pain and emotions just like humans do? Am I correct in that? I think that's true.
Yeah.
They're also delicious, and I don't care about an octopus. So if that answers your question, then that answers your question.
Well, it doesn't really. I'm just trying to figure out. So basically, because humans are made in the image of God.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think
we
that
can't
answered the question.
do
We're
to
different from
humans
animals.
what we do to animals.
Nope,
We're
because
different
the commandments of God, when they say "Thou shalt not kill," talks about other human beings. It does not speak about animals.
It doesn't say that. It says "Thou shalt not murder," doesn't it? "Thou shalt not kill." It doesn't say "Thou shalt not."
Well, it says "Thou shalt not kill," but then in Leviticus chapter 11, it tells you which animals you can eat and which animals you can't. And you know, the Islamic holy book tells you exactly how to slaughter them and which animals you can eat and which animals you can't. So it's obviously.
What does it say anything about not eating dogs?
Look,
in Islam, they've got a. In Islam, they do, but I don't think in Christianity.
So I don't eat dogs. No, Leviticus chapter 11, I believe it is a differentiation between what the animal eats and what its hoof shape is. Obviously, this was written a very long time ago. If someone in the chat wants to correct me or look this up, I believe it says if it has a hoof that's split in half and chews of the cud, you can eat it, which does not refer to camels, but it refers to basically every other livestock animal that we have today.
Yeah, but
I read the.
Sorry, Joe, did you want to say something about that?
Yeah, and pigs. Yeah, he's correct about what it says in the Bible. But I thought it was funny, like what he said before. I think that refers back to "Thou shalt not," what was it? "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." So he does like seem to kind of go over that golden rule. But then again, I don't know if he perceives animals as someone.
Yeah, but I think that is the problem, isn't it? He doesn't think of non-human animals and humans as the same. He thinks that non-human animals have absolutely whatever they need to suffer, because he needs their bodies for some reason, that they should suffer, and he thinks it's ordained by his God that is allowed. You know, so he doesn't see any sort of. And he believes, from what he said before, that morality comes from God. He actually said morality comes from God.
But he doesn't think he needs them. Like he did mention that he doesn't believe that he needs them. He just thinks that he is allowed to do it.
But he believes that God, is the source of morality. That he believes in God. That God has specified in Leviticus that he's allowed to eat these animals. So if he wants to eat them, then he sees no moral reason why he shouldn't.
The reason behind, like, I believe the reason behind that, let me just look that up to be sure, like Leviticus, because the reason why they do it, I believe, is because they are not clean. But yeah, it says Leviticus 11, "You may eat any animal that has a split hoof completely divided and that chews the cud. There are some that only chew the cud, blah, 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 but you must not eat them. The camel, though it chews the cud, it does not have a split hoof. It is ceremonially unclean for you." So it says you may eat it, but the reasoning behind it is because it's perceived as unclean, not because the Bible in any way obligates you to do it.
No.
There's no moral reason behind it. It's just they find it gross.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I didn't quite understand Joey's what Joey was saying anyway. He was saying some kind of human-like creature. Did he say that we'd created like a human-like creature that we eat, made of human DNA? Is that what he was trying to say? But we'd created the creature. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
See, I really struggled to understand what he was saying anyway there. No offense, Joey, because it sounded like he was saying we'd created a human, and it had all the traits of a human, and and it was like us in every way, but we created it.
I didn't get that one either. I was kind of looking at the Leviticus part.
I didn't quite get it. I mean, I'm strange. I'm a bit off with hypotheticals anyway. I don't always see them as relevant, but I mean, if we created a species of human from human DNA, then they would still technically be some form of human, wouldn't they? So that's why I think he carried on with the whole religious aspect. They'd still be made in the image of God, maybe, but I don't know. But I think it's the same thing he was saying before anyway. You know, God allows me to, so I can, isn't it, really?
By that verse, you could eat humans. Like, I know that it talks about that later in the Bible, but by this logic alone, you could eat humans. But I think, did he mean to say something like, if you basically can create human meat without any sentience attached to it, would it then still be okay to eat it? Is that what you mean?
I mean, that wouldn't be any different to somebody in a coma or with zero brain activity or anything, would it? It'd be the same thing. I mean, just because you bred a human with no brain activity, you know, to speak of, or no sentience, doesn't mean that you've basically brain damaged them. I don't know. It seems a terrible. I mean, I'm not keen on that particular thing. So I mean, it's all right. We'll just move on, Joy.
Yeah, I didn't follow it that well.
I
so
wasn't a big
not.
particular fan of that from that anyway. So it seems a strange one to me.
The Bible.
Chickens, yeah.
I've read the Bible many times.
Yeah, and these animals are selectively bred by humans, and they're kept in factory farms and
Yes.
put under immense. Like, why do? Okay, look,
I think he's
if
already
you're
aware
saying
of
it
this,
because
isn't he?
we are created in God's image,
Yes,
but that's
we are,
and we can't actually prove that. Like, can we? Like, we have to believe that's a faith. We have to have faith in that. Yeah, you have to have faith. It's like a belief that you have that no one can actually verify or disprove.
Yeah, but he is.
Yeah, I mean,
so I can't really say, oh no, we weren't. Like,
No,
because
I
you
mean-
just say, well, yes, we were.
Yeah,
and
but you can't-
could never get to a point.
We could go on indefinitely with this because you could say something to me like, "Oh, we shouldn't kill and eat pigs because it's cruel," and I could say, "Yes, we should," and no, it's not cruel. But I don't try to redact the arguments down to such a basic level. I like to try to give a little bit of nuance and try to inject my knowledge into the situation a little bit more. But no,
Yeah, Bev was just saying Joe was trying to do name the trait, but I think it just went sideways somewhere along there, didn't it?
I think they kind of lost track at this point.
Yeah, I think he started off going to do it, and maybe Joey realized it wasn't going to help or whatever, or maybe they just got sidetracked. But yeah, it just fizzled out. I think that's where the whole beings like humans but not humans thing was going to go, but it just ended up not being anything at the end.
no, I don't think any argument can be made that animal lives are as important as human lives. And if you really truly believe that, if you really truly in your heart believe that an animal life is important as a human life, then I believe that there is something, and I don't mean this in an offensive way. Let's talk about let's talk about a third party. This guy believes that animal lives and human lives, because it's sentient, are all exactly of equal value. Then that person is less intelligent than a piranha or a shark. Because piranhas don't think that piranha lives are less important than the other animals' lives. And the preservation of your own species is something innate in all of us, in almost every creature that lives. So if you want to say that you're less intelligent than a piranha and you believe that a pig's life or a chicken...
I will say that the preservation of your own species is probably something that is the core fundamental thing with any animal. That's why we have reproduction and stuff, isn't it? And even though some animals' reproduction is ridiculously hard, they still go to all the effort of trying to do it because but I still think he's wrong from what we discussed earlier. That piranhas don't eat piranhas, sharks never eat sharks, lions just cuddle up in one heap of 1,000 lions and lick each other's feet. I mean, he's I think
But he's not arguing with the vegan argument, because the vegan argument isn't that everything is on the same moral line. So it just doesn't follow. I was briefly distracted by what somebody said about Proverbs 15:17. Can you pick that one up? Because what I think that means, better is to have a dinner of herbs where love is than a fattened ox and hatred with it. I don't think that refers specifically to what you're eating. I think if we look it up in the New Century Version and the James Version, then I think the interpretation is more, if you look at the context, that it's better to eat in a household where there is a meager meal but good people than it is to have a luxurious meal with people who hate you. Like, I think that's the context of that part. So just to be entirely fair.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. So we'll carry on with the same, but I think he was definitely flawed with his Disney view on how animals just all love each other if they're in the same species, though.
Yeah, that's not correct. But this kind of
I
flew
mean, does
off
he
the
not
handle
remember
here.
Scar? Does he not remember Scar? He killed Mustafa. Does he not remember this?
Mufasa.
Mufasa, is it? Is it Mustafa or Mufasa? I can't
Did it
remember
come
the name of the
Mustafa too?
characters.
No.
Is it Mufasa? Oh dear. But yeah, it's he's crazy.
Chicken's life or a cow's life or a lamb's life is exactly as important as yours or mine or my kids or your kids. I don't believe that you really think that.
No.
Well, it depends on who the person is, really. Because if you're talking about a piece of shit, then I don't see them as any more worthy than a fly.
Yeah,
but
of
if
course.
You're talking about if you're talking about a pretty
general.
good person, they try their best.
In general,
they try their best,
a child.
Sorry, did he just say if a person was a piece of shit, he doesn't see them worth any more than a fly?
Yeah, I don't get this one either. Like, no.
I've got to disagree with Joey on this because before he turned to veganism, he could and he's called himself it before. He classed himself as a piece of shit. You know,
Yeah, but I don't
he was in
understand,
gangs.
like, the
He
comparison.
harmed people. He did all sorts of other problems. But he came out of it. And I mean, I don't agree with his premise anyway. But the fact that he said that once a piece of shit, always a piece of shit, almost, isn't it really? Whereas he's living proof that's not the case. So I got to disagree with him saying that, to be fair, because there's many people who've done terrible things and things that no one would approve of, and then in later years in life have made big changes, as Joey himself. So plus I don't kill flies either.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. But they're not talking about veganism anymore. This is just purely of the premise that we put animals on all the exact same level. But that's just not the case.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I wish
not.
he picked up on that. I hope he'll still do that.
Yeah, hopefully.
Like me, if you met me 10 years ago, you probably thought he's a lost hope. But I turned my life around now, try to do good in the world, and I try to leave a positive mark on the world.
And I have to say, your story, sorry to digress a little bit, I didn't know anything about you. Your story is actually pretty cool. So, because just because you're a vegan and I disagree with you and I don't give a shit about animals doesn't mean that I can't tell the 27, 28, I haven't refreshed it, 30-something thousand people watching on my audience that your story of being a gangbanger and a piece of shit and a criminal and turning it all around isn't inspirational. So I know that's off topic and I'm not trying to throw you off, but actually well done to you, because a lot of people, and I've met a lot of them, don't end up where you are today, given those circumstances.
No, they don't.
Yeah, no, I agree. Joey's done great things. He's turned away. That's why I got a bit confused when he was saying
Fair. Yeah.
earlier on, because he's turned himself around. Yeah, but I agree with that. Joey's done great strides to making himself into a completely different person, which is good.
Most of my friends are still in jail. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I appreciate you saying that.
Well, I didn't know it until you introduced yourself.
Yeah.
I literally didn't even know.
No, okay. Well, no, thank you very much. I've been very transparent about my past, as transparent as I can be, and a lot of my friends are still either in prison on drugs or in gangs, or so a lot of people don't make it out of that world. So thank you, but I am trying to do right. But this is something that I really care about. Even I've been in violent situations. I've been targeted. I've been held hostage at gunpoint. I've been beaten, bashed. I know what it's like to be a victim. I've also victimized people, and I think that they're both wrong. They're wrong to do, right? And I know you're making a distinction between humans and animals, but if I saw someone back then, if you saw, let me ask you this: if I was being cruel to a dog in front of you, say I had a hot iron and I was putting it in their eye and they were squealing and that, you would just feel nothing?
No. If you're working at a dog factory, killing the dog so you can eat it, I would not care, because it's your dog, your farm, your business, your factory, your life. I'm a free market capitalist, and if you're a producer of dog meat, all well and good. If I saw you torturing anything for any reason, I'd say, well, what's the point in that? What's the benefit? Are you providing anyone with a meal? Are you providing anyone with food, sustenance? No, you're just being a dick. So yeah, I would have a go at someone.
Well, let's just say that I have plant-based food available to me. There's plenty of.
I was going to say about he's saying, he would say, "Oh, why bother?" But judging by his own train of thought, I mean, as far as I'm aware, and I'm not sure if you're about this, Joy, or anyone in the chat, but when they're having the Yulin Dog Festival, don't they purposefully beat the animals and make them suffer because they believe that it changes the way the meat tastes of the dog once they cook it? Have you heard of this?
I've heard of the Yulin Dog Meat Festival. The custom you're describing, I don't know. But honestly, this part is once again conflating personal empathy versus moral conviction.
Yeah.
It's, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And as I say, I mean, because he seems to think, well, if you want it and you like that, then you can have it. So by that logic, if they're beating the dogs because they think it improves the flavor, he's fine with that because it's not a problem because,
He's going to ask them why they do it, but if they're going to eat it, then he's fine with it. That's what I'm getting
yeah,
from
exactly.
this situation.
I mean, he doesn't actually care. If you say, because I want to, you go, all right, carry on. I don't think he... Yeah, Bev's saying they torture them for taste. So I think if you gave him a reason why you were torturing it, like I'm torturing it because it makes the meat taste better because of all the fear chemicals that are going in its body and all the adrenaline and everything else. And I think, cut me a steak. I don't think he'd care, but we'll see what he says.
A plant-based food available to me. I'm torturing them because it gives
because you want to eat them.
Because I just made the choice to over the plant-based food.
Yes.
I'm deciding I want to torture them to eat them because it's basically just a flippant choice.
Yes.
I could eat plant food, but I don't really like it as much. I like torturing animals and eating them.
I mean,
I wouldn't have an issue with that.
I love vegetables, but I also love eating meat, and that's how free market capitalism works. You see, Joey, I think a lot of people like you, and I don't mean to offend you, they think that they can educate somebody like me. They think I'm some...
I think he's just diverted away.
Yeah.
I think he diverted away.
Big dumb thug, and they think that I don't know where my food comes from. And they think they're going to show me videos of certain factory farms and talk to me of the processes in which chickens lay eggs and the cages they're kept in. And I'm going to go, oh my God, this is wrong. But that's not the way I'm programmed. If I was super interested in feudal Japanese history, and I went to all the feudal Japanese history conventions and spoke about it in every conversation when I got drunk with my friends, which I tend to do. And you looked at me and said, Tristan, I just don't give a shit about feudal Japanese history. I don't care. It's not an issue I care about. I don't want to learn about it. I don't want to know about it. I'd say, you know what? Good for you. Veganism is one of these things that you believe you could actually convince somebody like me because you think you can open my eyes. My eyes are wide open. One of my friends who's in this house right now used to work at a slaughterhouse. My eyes are open. I know exactly where my food comes from, and I do not value the lives of cattle and animals produced for food. I just don't. I value them in the way that they provide sustenance for people to eat. I actually run a charity which provides food for children in war-torn countries, tatepledge.com, if anyone wants to check it out. And I don't give a shit if it's beef or if it's corn, as long as people are eating. That's the way that I think about things. So you.
Well, to be fair, I mean, he said a few things there. I mean, a lot of it, he's just his opinion that he doesn't give a shit. But but that last part of it, he has Tate Pledge and he feeds children across the world. I think I've heard of this before. I think his brother said they donate around 25 million a year, via Tate Pledge to feed, in sort of war-torn areas or where children are suffering and can't eat. Which I'm not going to have a go at that. But if your whole purpose is to feed these children, if you're sending, I don't know, 25 million pounds worth of beef, of cows over to these areas to feed the children, how much more food could you actually send these people if you sent them beans and rice and other plant-based options that were out there? Because it's going to be a lot cheaper for a start, like lentils and etc. So if his main,
it makes a good point.
Yeah, so he should care. Here we go. Sorry, so
But also,
he should care since resources are wasted fattening. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If his whole thing is to to help these people. I mean, I don't know the exact areas where these kids are, but it's like Joy said earlier. If we weren't breeding all these animals into existence and wasting all the vast majority of the world's crops by feeding them up to their fattened states, then we could provide a lot more food for different areas of the world, that is plant-based, and maybe there wouldn't be as much of a need for him to do what he's doing because we could feed everyone.
Yeah, but he's also he's circling back to the beginning, like the whole "I don't care" argument. Fine, like you can say "I don't care" and like truly mean it. But then, you have to accept that "I don't care" doesn't have a lot of argumentative strength to it. Like we're trying to go into the specific of the subject. At least that's what they're trying in their stream. And then I don't care is
maybe
just...
that's what he meant at the very beginning, Joy, where he said, I don't see how we can have a debate because...
but he's having it. And he does seem to have some opinions about these specific
I know,
topics.
but it all still boils down to that one sort of like one fact. I don't care. This is where it's coming from, isn't it? At his core, he just does not care by the sound of
But he is a capable debater who I assume wants people to take him seriously, at least to an extent, right?
He's certainly not a bad debater, and he's certainly not stupid, but his opinion of animals and their moral worth is not not even in line with the most meat eaters, maybe, unless they're lying to us, because they would at least care about the about the production of. They'd like to at least pretend. They'd like to at least make you think that they care. I always buy like this meat because it's got the red tractor on, or I do this. But
they're willing to act in abstracts, like
yeah. Whereas he doesn't seem to actually care, and maybe it's all bravado. Maybe it's all a part of the character that he plays. Maybe it's how he truly feels. I'm not sure, but I get the impression he's not lying. I get the impression he's not purposefully trying to lie to us about it.
Yeah.
This is how he feels, which is at least honest of him, I suppose. Even though I got to say I disagree completely with a lot of his lines so far.
Yeah, but again, he can keep saying I don't care. That's fine. Like if you have that point of view, that I understand that. That's fine. But I'm looking at all the other arguments he had about the different topics. Like if you go into the specific topics, then he does have an opinion to share, and also about morality. So like, why not discuss that? Why come back to the whole I don't care? Because that's a different argument.
It's what he always falls back on. I think he could lose every argument under the sun, but at the end of the day, you say I don't care, and you still win in his mind, I think. But,
sorry, it's clicking. I realized that I've been clicking my pen. Is that annoying?
I don't think it's coming through. I don't think it was that, so it's fine.
You can't really open my eyes to this, because I don't think there's many things that I am ignorant of.
Well, I mean, I don't think you've ever been inside of these places, though, have you?
I've been inside of pig farms and chicken farms. I've never been inside of a cattle farm. No. Not myself.
I've seen you on a pig farm, backyard pig farm or something in Romania, like with 1 or 2 pigs there.
Well, that wasn't a pig farm. I've been inside a real pig farm in England when I was younger.
A factory?
Yeah.
Factory pig farm?
Yeah, I was doing delivery drives with some guy. So I've been inside. But again, I've seen all the videos.
That's the first time I've thought he lied, to be fair. I mean, I might be wrong, but that's the first time I thought there was deception from him. I think everything else was, but I can't prove it.
Either way,
I just get a sense that was like I can't give him an inch. But
I've no reason to believe that he's lying. It's again,
I don't know.
It
was just the sense that I had. That, his demeanor seemed to change a little bit for me, but I might be wrong.
I've seen all the images. I've killed pigs myself. I'm not a hypocrite. I'm not one of these people. You know what? Shout out to this guy. He probably doesn't remember me. There's a guy on the island with me when I was in that reality TV show. And some people said, I'm not going to kill the pig. I'm not going to eat the pig. And some people said, I'm going to actively take part in the killing of the pig and I'm going to eat the pig. Obviously, the killing was done by me because I was the one the producers most trusted as the most competent person on the island. But there was 1 or 2 people there who said, you know what? I don't want to be around when the pig is killed. I don't want to be around when we have to strip it and gut it and cut off its skin. But I am going to eat it. And I think we could both agree that that's hypocritical.
No, he's right.
Sure.
It is hypocritical. There's no argument from me there on that particular point.
I don't again, that's conflating personal icky feelings versus the morality of it. I know I keep repeating myself on that, but I feel like that's a lot.
To be fair, Joey, there's a lot of it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of it.
I'm fine with, I do recognize that there's some hypocrisy in not wanting to be confronted with the truth of what's on your plate. But on the other hand, that is extremely common in the world in which we live today. And are you specifically a hypocrite, even if you, live in the age of information and somewhat informed yourself? I don't think it's necessarily that is what makes you hypocritical.
Okay.
If you don't dare to do it yourself, that's just personal ick versus the moral conflict.
Yeah, no, I get you there then. Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
No?
Yeah, if they're going to eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
You need to know the reality of where your food comes from.
One is displaying normal human emotion. You're displaying something that is close to, I would say, people who tend to not care about the suffering of animals, or I don't know if you don't take pleasure in cruelty to animals, do you?
Really? Is that a serious question? Of course it was.
I mean, because it is a serious question.
I think it was a serious question. He almost had a sort of a proud look on his face when he said that they chose me to kill the pig on the island. So maybe he didn't get direct pleasure from killing the actual animal. That I don't know. You never know exactly what people are thinking. But he did take pleasure in somebody thought that he should be the one to kill the animal. You know?
Yeah, like it's. I would say, it's not the most charitable one, obviously, but I think it's a fair hypothetical to pose to someone. Like, that's the question that I hope to get answered earlier. Like, do you see a difference there? Do you see a difference in what type of pleasure I would get out of killing an animal?
Yeah, I mean, there's different types.
So I hope that's where he's going with, and not just right on him.
Yeah. I believe there was some pleasure in it for him. Obviously, you can only take him at his word, though. But he did seem to have a little smile on his face when he said they picked me as the most competent one to kill the pig because I was the most competent one on the island, and he seemed to take pleasure in that aspect of killing the pig. That they thought he was like competent and like the top G and could do it.
But now he's saying you can't possibly be serious. Like, from his perspective, I understand. Like,
yeah, I think it was a perfectly legitimate question.
Because most people don't have your position that they don't care how cruel someone is to animals. That, like, basically I could do anything to animals as long as I'm going to eat them.
That is not my position. I think if you were going to kill animals, you should kill them in the most humane way possible. I said there is no killing of an animal without cruelty.
Yeah, but okay, philosophically, yes, if you believe it's cruel to kill, like, without suffering, like that the act of killing is cruel in and of itself because you're robbing them of their life.
Absolutely. So it justifies it because you're eating it.
But you also said factory farming is an amazing invention, even though it's just basically an infinite suffering machine that's like dead birds dying on their faces and pigs suffering to death on the floor of their own, like laying in their own feces, like mothers like stuck in cages and like piglets being smacked on the ground and their heads on the concrete. You say horrible places here.
I know you say mothers though, but I feel like the language you use is trying to get some sort of emotional response. Mothers. I have a mother. You have a mother. There's the mother of my children who I care deeply about. It's a chicken, and
pigs,
well, it's a pig. It's a cow. But it's a wonderful, wonderful system that anywhere I go in the world, I can ask.
I think he's going to go down and say it's a great system. Factory farming is great, but I wouldn't go. I mean, I don't think Joey's particularly picked him up on tons of his language.
Yeah.
And I think it's a bit disingenuous to pick up on him. I mean, he is factually correct. I mean, it is a mother pig. He could call it call the pig a sow, but the pig is a mother. And he knows why vegans use these, more maybe human-ish sort of like, words. It is to maybe elicit some kind of emotional response from the person they're speaking to make them realize that they're not just dealing with a product, and they are mothers and children, and that they have sentience and everything else. But we do. I'm not going to deny it. But he is factually accurate as well.
Sure. Yeah, sure. He's factually accurate. There's one thing that kind of disappoints me about this part in the debate is that, again, it's easy to speak from my position, but Joey keeps going on about the one topic, the one thing that he just said he doesn't care about, that Tate just said that I don't care. Why didn't he continue so much onto all of those other topics that were way more interesting? Because that is something that he actually did.
Yeah, there's no point in coming back to the thing where Tate can just say I don't care, is there? I mean, it's
like, why emphasize on that one? Like, why then go that empathetic route if it's clearly not working?
Yeah, I mean, he obviously doesn't have any empathy for them, so
ask for a plate of chicken and somebody can get me chicken and cook it for me and put it on my plate.
He certainly does.
Now, factory farming plays a massive role in that, whether anyone likes it or not. So it is very impressive. Back when my parents were growing up, you had seasonal vegetables. You couldn't even get oranges in the winter. And now, any time of any year in any city in the civilized world, I can get a steak. I eat steak every day. I think that's a beautiful thing. Now, I understand that factory farms are a part of this system. When I say the system is incredibly impressive because I can eat steak whenever I like, that doesn't mean I'm going to sit at a factory farm and get my dick out and get off on the fact that all these cows are being tortured. And, I'm not a sadistic person, but I understand that it's part of the system, the wonderful system of global food supply. And
Yeah, he's not outside a factory farm masturbating. I don't think there's many people that would be outside a factory farm masturbating. Maybe there is the odd person in the world that would do that, but he's still taking sensory pleasure from the corpses of the individuals that were being murdered. So I mean,
and here he does specify that it's, he's no longer saying like all around the world or anywhere. So here specifying like anywhere in the first world I could go. Like that's a better point that he made before.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you there. But yeah, to say he takes no pleasure in it, I mean, what is the sensory?
Yeah, he's not like
you can compare the two in a way. That they give sensory pleasure. So
yeah, there's a different. So. That's exactly why I was hammering on that before, because I was wondering, like, does it matter to him? Like, what type of pleasure he gets out of it?
Yeah, exactly.
I love steak. So would I abolish factory farms? No.
Sorry to interrupt you. I mean, I'm just actually very surprised that you know so much about the industry. Like,
cigar.
if you know as much as I know.
Yes.
And you're calling it wonderful because it's like something
Absolutely.
like, I've been in some pretty horrible situations and I've seen some pretty horrible like videos but when I became an investigator and seen what goes on in these places, like it is some of the most disgusting, vile, horrific violence and cruelty and stench of corpses lying they die in their own feces, these animals, and these chickens are 6 weeks old. They grow so quick. They just grow so quick.
It is the ones we eat that die, that are all in their own feces. Maybe they don't. The ones that people eat don't die in their own feces because those ones will be put in a skip. But they're all in their own feces.
Yeah, but that's because we kind of put him in the cage to be there.
Yeah, exactly.
But he did just say, sorry, I just wanted to hook onto this one more time. Like, even in the first world, I think that the animal agriculture industry is doing humans a huge disservice. Like, not just in terms of health, because we sell whatever is profitable, no matter how unhealthy this crap is, and the form of PTSD that a lot of slaughterhouse workers get.
Yeah,
like that happens in the first world too.
Yeah, you've got a lot of people,
and environmental issues.
Yeah, there's loads of other issues which they haven't picked up on. I think Joey was obviously trying to go down like the moral and sort of ethical reasons rather than sort of environmental, etc. Because that's obviously what veganism is all about. But maybe hitting such a person with these other topics, such as he obviously is in good shape, so maybe hitting him with maybe health or maybe hitting him with like environmental reasons.
Estrogen would be a good one.
Yeah, not that he particularly cares about the environment, I think, because he does have a private jet, which I'm not begrudging him. He's got his own money, and he does drive fast cars, so maybe the environment's not important to him. He has to fuel up every 5
I would say
minutes.
that falls outside of veganism.
Yeah,
like it's a separate issue.
Yeah, so I wouldn't bring them up anyway. So I think Joey's probably right for not bringing up these other maybe topics.
Quickly, that they break their own legs and they lay there suffering to death. Like millions of birds die before they even get to the slaughterhouse. And to call that wonderful, like, just seems like either like maybe you just think the technology is wonderful or something, but inside there, like if you've seen all the footage, I don't know how wonderful can come to your mind. Like, and most people that I've ever spoken to, and they've actually done research on this. They've done massive polls. Like, most people are against factory farming.
Yeah, they say they are. They say they are, and then people talk about, you have to get rid of farming because of climate change. Yeah, let's get rid of all the farms. That's a wonderful idea. And I know you're going to say, well, we could grow a bunch of beans, but I don't want to eat beans, and I don't want to eat crickets, and I don't want to eat plant-based food. I want to eat meat, and factory farms are part of the supply chain. It's not that a factory farm itself is beautiful. You have to understand these are all intricate wheels in a system which gives people the ability to have whatever food they like on whatever city they like globally. So I find that impressive. That's an impressive feat of human ingenuity. And to take that argument to say, Tristan's the kind of guy who loves factory farms and thinks they're beautiful is actually not what I said, one.
Okay.
And two, my next question would be, did you think that I don't know stuff before you spoke to me? Because you seem surprised that I know a lot.
well,
What do people think I'm stupid? I don't get it. Some people do.
No, I don't. No, I don't think you're stupid. I think you're very bright, and I think you've been well educated, and you speak very coherently, and you've a higher intelligence than a lot of people that I speak to. But
every pig and every cow.
What I do come across though is people who think they know about what goes on, but have just seen a few videos here and there, and like I don't. But maybe, maybe just being there and that visceral stench and the hearing the murmuring of the animals and seeing them dying on their faces might pull you off of the position that this is just a wonderful invention where I get to have
0%.
meat wherever I want in the country.
0% in the world, and 0%. No, I understand the realities of where my food comes from, and I think a lot of people do. That's.
Yeah, I think he's probably correct. He does know exactly where the food comes from. He seems to be well informed, and he knows
about some issues, not about everything.
He doesn't know all about everything, no, but he knows some issues, and from his not swatting up before the stream.
But I don't think that Joey was that uncharitable. I do think that Joey, like, he was just feeling out like how much he knew about it, and that's fair to do if you haven't had this conversation before. But I think that he's, respected that quite a lot, other than the fact that he's not very responsive to the fact that he doesn't care about the empathy argument. But
yeah, I don't know. If somebody just literally doesn't care, I mean, I don't know what you can say against that. Is there an argument against I don't care?
No, I don't think so. But then,
No.
like I said before, you would go into specifics, and he does have opinions on that, so why not discuss that?
Yeah, exactly.
That's my point about I think a lot of people do. I think that a lot of people watching right now are going to learn a thing or two, and I don't think anyone who listens to me and follows me is going to think, oh, I better convert to veganism. I believe that you can be a vegan if you like. I don't mind if you're a vegan, but you mind if I eat meat.
Exactly. And I'll tell you why. It's not because I'm trying to control people or whatever. People think that I want to control. Oh, why do you care what I eat? I see this a lot. Vegans are trying to control what I eat. They're weirdos. Like, people think veganism is some diet. Like, it's just a diet, like I choose to be carnivore. You can be whole foods. You can have a raw diet, and I choose to be a vegan like it's a diet choice. It's actually, we care what people consume, because on the other end of that, animals are being raised, mutilated. This is factory farming, suffering, and then they are murdered in like a gas chamber or a slaughterhouse filled with blood in order to meet that demand. So people are collectively making up that demand, and so we are trying to stop people from making up that demand, so the animals can stop being bred into infinite torture and then murder.
Well, some people never will, because we understand that very well, and I think that let's move on to something that we might agree on, because I
well, before he moves on to something they might agree on, did you want to say anything about that section there, Joy?
No. To be honest, I wasn't really. No, I couldn't really pick out anything super interesting.
No, I don't think there was. It didn't seem like there was anything particularly worth going over there. So we'll see. We'll see if they can get to something new.
I think that you've got your points across. And this is what I meant, by the way, when I said it's not going to be much of a debate, because I don't really have anything to say, oh, you shouldn't be vegan and you shouldn't preach it because X, Y, Z, and, factory farming is 100% great and there's no suffering involved. I'm not one of those people. I understand reality. This is why I don't think there was ever much of a debate to be had in the first place, because I'm just one of those people who understands the world exceptionally well. I understand where my food comes exceptionally well. I think that is acceptable for it to be this way. And that's just the way it is. So let's change subject, because I think you're going to like this one. Let's talk about trophy hunting. Because
here it comes. So this is trophy hunting. Let's see what he has to say about this then.
I think we'll find a lot more common ground with trophy hunting than with the food that I eat, because I'm never going to agree with you that I care at all about how a chicken is treated. I just won't. But we can move on, and maybe we can be friends again.
Well, yeah, we can move on. We can. I really do.
Take me back.
We can talk about trophy hunting. I really want to just ask you this. I can do whatever I want to a bird, a chicken. I can grab a chicken, slowly pluck their feathers out, and they could be screaming. I can burn them and singe it, and then I can do that to 10,000 chickens, one out after the other, in just this infinite loop of torture, right?
I don't think that Joe needs to keep going over this, because you're not going to get the guy to care. I mean, he's already stated that if you want to do it, you can do it. I mean, I don't think this is a particular thing worth going over again, personally.
Yeah, I'm wondering what point he's going to make with the chicken. I don't think.
I'll see what he says, but it sounds very similar.
I can just do that continuously,
Mhm.
and all you had to do is like move your hand over a button to stop it. You know, would you do that? Just stop that suffering, or you just don't care even that much?
Well, no,
you could just push a button and I'd stop.
Well, you couldn't do that to my chickens, because if I had chickens, they live in my garden, etc., and I just cut their heads off. In fact, when I killed chickens before, I broke their necks and cut their heads off. That's what I did. I took no pleasure in torturing animals. I think that anyone who takes pleasure in torturing anything, there's probably something a little bit wrong with them. Who cares? I genuinely don't care that much. It's a chicken.
Because you don't eat KFC for health though, like do you? You eat KFC for
KFC makes you strong. Yeah, KFC. Yeah, no. It's fried in a lot.
We can talk about protein in that. But
KFC isn't great.
You eat KFC for pleasure, don't you?
I do.
You choose KFC for pleasure.
Absolutely. So if I could,
how is eating KFC for pleasure different to what I'm doing for pleasure? Say I got pleasure out of torturing these animals. It gave me sensory pleasure. I really liked them squealing or whatever. You really like the taste of KFC, and these animals are suffering in horrible factory farms in order to bring you that KFC. How is what you're doing any different to what I'm doing?
Let me restructure your question. If I could push a button and stop it, and by stopping it, it means you just take a big butcher's knife and cut the chicken's heads off, then I would push that button, because why would I want anything to be tortured? I don't see the point in it. But if you were just raising them in cages, as a lot of places in Africa and a lot of places in Argentina and all the places where our world comes from, where our meat comes from in the world, where they try to raise animals as many as they can, as fast as they can, and as small a space as they can, these people who are very hardworking people, I think we'll all agree, who are trying to make their living, who if you shut down their factory farm probably wouldn't have much else to do, who are taking these chickens and treating them carelessly, and if they're killing them in a relatively humane way, I mean, Islam gives a guide on how to kill animals.
You know, we did just say earlier that you can't kill in a humane way, basically, because there's always an element of suffering.
Yeah, they're talking directly past each other. Like it was going to be about trophy hunting, and then he's talking about this one specific scenario, and then he takes a different scenario. There's no red line here.
I can't see where they're going particularly.
Well, then I know everyone's like, oh, that's cruel because it's with a knife. Well, there were no bolt guns invented in the time of the...
Yeah, because I know he's trying to respond back to Joey's, would you stop me harming chickens by pushing a button? And I think his thing is, no, you can kill the chickens, but if it's needlessly harming them, then that, I would press it so you could have to chop their heads off with a knife. So he doesn't care about the chicken, but then again, if he cares so little, I don't know why he pressed the button either. To stop the suffering. As he's aware it goes on, he's fully aware that it goes on in what goes on in factory farms, and he doesn't care about that or care to stop that. So I don't know.
Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So the guidance is actually very, very good. Don't let the animals see the knife, etc. There's nobody on earth who would choose having the animal tortured as opposed to killed as humanely as possible. But if you were running a factory farm and you were a Chinese man in Wuhan and you were sick of your life and you were cruelly kicking your chickens all day and whipping them, I wouldn't come to your farm and tell you how to run your chicken farm. And I would probably still buy your chicken. I don't put the lives of chickens.
You would fund me. If I was torturing the chickens, you would go, here, mate, here's $20. Give us a couple of those chickens and you'd keep me in business.
How cheap are they?
They're just about an average bucket of chicken.
I don't care. I don't care about chickens. I don't care about chickens.
They suffer. They suffer the same as other animals, is what I'm saying. They have a brain, a functioning nervous system. They feel they want to avoid pain. They want to.
Of course they do.
They are sentient beings. They're like birds.
Yes.
I mean, if you see like.
Do you think they're going over the same stuff here, Joy, or?
Yeah, pretty much. Like I'm not noticing a lot of new things here.
No, there's a lot.
It's like one hypothetical. Okay, how about this hypothetical? Oh, I'm not going to answer that. How about this hypothetical? How about this? It's.
Should we keep going on? Should we keep going and see if anything different comes up, or you're getting sleepy there?
Yeah, exactly. No, if we keep going for a bit and see if they get some. Sorry if this sounds mean, but coherency back in the conversation. If they have like a specific topic.
Yeah, because they're all over the show at the moment, so we'll see where they go. I mean, I would fast forward, but I don't know at what point they would get to something a bit more coherent. And to be fair.
No, then we get the full context of the next subject, so that's fine.
Okay.
I just don't see them any different to any other bird or any other animal. Like, I mean, I don't know why you make a distinction between a pig and the dog. These are both animals who are having a subjective experience. They both experience.
If you can't make that distinction over the example I gave you earlier about every single life form that is farmed on a farm being created by humans and selectively bred for a reason, and that dogs were bred to be your friend, provide companionship, go hunting with, and pigs were bred to get as big as possible, as fast as possible, so we can kill them. If you really can't see the distinction between a pig and a dog, that's okay, because if people eat dogs, I don't care that they eat dogs. I'm not going to eat my dog. I like my dog. My dog is my friend. I don't care if a pig is smart. If I had a pig, it would be for food, but I don't eat pork anyway. We're just using pigs as an example. But I'd happily eat a cow and kill a cow. I have no problem with it. And nobody is ever going to change my mind. I think that this is the attitude that a lot of vegans don't really know exists out there in the world, between the millions and millions of people who they think they can convince with some slaughterhouse video. We don't care.
I may agree with him there.
Oh, sorry. I want to correct myself on this because I said something previously about the hoofed, when we got to the hoofed animal Bible verse.
Okay.
And I said something about, but so do pigs. And he just said that he doesn't eat pigs. So that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, this is what I was saying to you earlier. I mean, where he's saying that this vegans, I would think the view that he takes is that he doesn't really care about any animal unless it's his own. Like pet dog or whatever. And if you want to kill them or make them suffer, he doesn't really care. I mean, I might agree with him the fact that this is a view that not only vegans probably think isn't very prevalent, but probably most people don't think it is either, because I think most people think that this level of not caring about animals isn't really that much of the population. I think
it's mostly just it's not caring in the sense of, oh, they don't care if the animal suffers. It's just that in everyday life you're not likely to be made aware of the suffering. That doesn't mean that you have no knowledge about it, but that just means that it doesn't register in your brain all that much, because the entire market is aimed towards eat animals, eat animals, eat animals,
and
eat
I
animals.
think if you were to generally ask people now, this is where I was saying before, did they feel like Tristan, or is it just a facade, of caring? So I don't know, but you wouldn't like to think that there's a lot of people out there with this level of apathy towards animal suffering, would you? But but if it is out there en masse, like Tristan just said, then it's obviously something that we need to be aware of as vegans and figure a way to counter in some way.
Yeah, well, you don't even have to counter it. You can just ignore that aspect then.
Yeah, and go down other avenues.
Race Lever just gave a really interesting comment. That may be a fun idea for our next stream. Like, it doesn't even have to be about veganism, but he thinks we should find something we disagree about and have a debate about that.
Oh, all right, okay. So we disagree about something. Okay.
Let's talk about that later. Let's see if we can find something. If you have any interesting topics...
We do disagree. I mean, I think Race Lever's okay. And didn't you say you really hate him? Only joking.
About chickens. We don't care. We eat them. That's what they're for.
The people that I know you don't. You keep saying you don't care. I mean, obviously, if you did care, it would be extremely hard to continue that behavior. Because when I was in gangs, for example, like, we had to not care about the enemy. And if you did start to care about the enemy, you couldn't really do what you had to do.
Yeah.
So you had to you had to put this shield up, and this shield helped you get through what you had to get through. If you started caring, basically, you couldn't be a very good person in the gang world. You couldn't be a very good soldier if you always cared. But you have to actually have this feeling of not caring for these animals, knowing that they suffer and they're harmed and they're slaughtered and all this stuff. If you did care, you wouldn't be able to eat the animals. And I do care. And there's probably a bunch of people watching this who actually, So if someone who is I'm not, obviously you're not to be convinced of this, but if there's people that are watching who do care about the experiences of other animals and do see them as, valuable in their own right because they have a conscious experience, then those people shouldn't be consuming animal products, right? The ones who do care.
No. No, I believe that we live in a modern world and the world is completely detached. Unfortunately, the supply and demand world and the way that we get our products is entirely detached from the system that creates them. I believe if someone actually really likes chickens and wouldn't harm a chicken themselves and they continue to want to eat chicken, that doesn't bother me at all. Just in the way that if you're wearing a pair of Nike sneakers and you don't care that some child in China sewed them, or you use an iPhone and you don't care about the appalling conditions at the iPhone factories, and you continue to use your iPhone, yeah, you'd rather not. You'd rather it be made by happy, smart people getting paid $400 an hour. I'm sure you would. So would I. But the world of supply and demand, this isn't communism. The state doesn't produce everything. We live in a world of competition and things are produced in the way that they're produced so everyone can get their hands on everything. And it's a beautiful system if you have enough money. So
I think there's a detachment in marketing, not in practice at all.
Yeah, and
same with the iPhones.
Yeah, I mean, everyone, like he says, if you use your phone out there, you'd like the human workers to have better conditions and more pay, and that might increase the price of the phone, or maybe just less profits for Apple, because there's a lot of. I mean, I don't know how much. So I mean, generally, how much suffering goes into somebody like working in the iPhone factory? I don't know. I've not looked into it. I certainly know that they don't intentionally kill their workers, and that they do pay them, and that they can eat, and you know, could their conditions be better? Possibly, but they don't have to work there either, did they? As far as I'm aware, I mean, did they or did they not? Did they I suppose you have to work where the state allocates you to work in China. Maybe I'm not 100% sure on that.
I don't think there's a lot of choice in that.
No, maybe not. If they say
so...
you're a factory worker, then you can't suddenly say no. I want to be a violinist.
I can fully acknowledge all the horrors of that humans go through and still be vegan, because I believe
exactly.
that
I was going to say.
Yeah.
I mean, if he really doesn't, I mean, I know he uses. He says he cares very little about non-human animals and a lot about human animals, but I know he uses an iPhone. But if he really cared about humans as much as he says he does, maybe you should look for a more ethical choice for a phone. I don't know. Maybe it's a strange one, really, but it's just another one of those deflections.
It's not about veganism anymore.
No, it's like when Piers Morgan says, "Okay, you come in here and tell me not to eat my burgers," as he says, but then you eat avocados. It's just a complete distraction from the truth. And what does he think's happening? I mean, just off topic, because this really annoys me about Piers Morgan, and no one ever says it to him. Does Piers Morgan think that the entire world's avocado supply is going to vegans?
It's got really popular for a while, but usually whenever I see some avocado or almond stuff, it is always in combination with animal products. And just for the record, I don't eat almonds and avocados.
I certainly don't. I don't eat almonds. I do eat the odd avocado. But at the end of the day, I don't think vegans are the big consumers of that product.
I agree. Maybe it's not being made just for vegans at all.
And I don't mean this really, but maybe Mexico. I believe they'll have a lot of guacamole.
Yeah, I think that's a worldwide dish nowadays.
I was trying to be silly, but it's worldwide. There's loads of people eat guacamole that aren't human, that aren't vegans. So, but yeah, I think this is all sidetracking with his iPhones and everything else. It's just a complete deflection from the topic at hand, really.
Oh no, I would not tell people who care about chickens to stop eating chicken. To answer your question.
Okay, you'd just say you can care about chickens and do what happens to them in order to get KFC, and those things they're in harmony. Caring about chickens and buying KFC are in harmony. Do you believe?
Yeah.
Then I think it's a complete contradiction. You can't care about, like, even for you, Tristan, like, you can't care about animals being tortured while you're paying for their torture. Like,
I mean, I buy a lot of alligator skin shoes. I know how cruel those alligator farms are.
Yeah, and that's nothing to do with food.
And I like alligators. Cool.
Wait a second, brother.
Yeah.
Brother.
I was going to say before he goes on to this,
again.
Oh, sorry. What are you saying there, Joy?
Like he says, I was asking the question about different types of pleasure that you could get from like animal farms, and he mentioned like food, but apparently he, I don't know if it does for every type of pleasure that you could get out of it, but apparently this is one additional one that he doesn't care
about. I think he's moving on to his favorite shoes now. So hopefully Joey can have a bit more to say about this section.
That is a very good point, actually, because you wear cows as well,
Yeah,
which has nothing to do with eating.
I do wear cows. Well, it's a human utility. So, everyone needs leather.
Yeah, but it's interesting. But well, no, we don't need leather. Obviously, there are other ways of there are other fabrics. But I was just wondering,
there's synthetic fabrics today, but they haven't existed for very long, and you know that.
Yeah, but they exist now.
But we've got them now. So I mean, that's no point going into the past for
Like we don't live in caves anymore that we need a fur coat or anything. Like at least most people.
Yeah, certainly not.
But my question to you is because at this. I'm not trying to do a gotcha or anything, but this is actually just a bit different.
Because I said food, because if you're going to eat them.
You said it's fine to be cruel as you basically want, so long as you're getting food from these animals, right? And people, I'm not misinterpreting what we said. So the shoes made out of, say, cow's skin.
Or alligator leather.
That's not food. That's their skin. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're using the end product. We raised the cow to be an end product. So I did say food, but this isn't a gotcha moment because if you want to kill, because the cows that are killed for leather aren't eaten. Everyone knows that. It's too expensive to raise them. It's too expensive to raise the cows with the high quality hides. You have to have them at certain elevations to make the car seats in, for example, a Bugatti or a Rolls Royce. And they don't eat the meat because it's not financially viable to cart them off and then chop them up because it's too cheap. I mean, they usually don't eat the meat. Let's say the cows are completely discarded. Yeah, fine. You raise the cow for leather.
It's fine to kill It's fine to kill
for leather.
Sorry, I think I accidentally paused it there. I'll carry on.
Yes.
Like cows for their skin.
100%.
And in India, where they trek them across like long treks and they're suffering, and then they export that leather. It's fine to buy that leather. Just animals suffering like really horrible lives just for leather. Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's the same as he thinks about food there, to be honest. There's no real difference in his argument for this. If it's something that's bred into existence, an animal that's bred into existence, if it's of use to him, if he can wear them as a jacket or if he can eat their flesh, it doesn't matter to him at all. As long as there's some reason for their death that suits him.
Utility, that's what he mentioned. As long as humans use it, but that's not really a standard I would go by when it comes to like anything else.
I mean, he acknowledges obviously there's other options out there, but I don't think their £5.5 million Bugatti wants to be seen to have vegan leather, does it? Because it's supposed to be the epitome of sort of like luxury and whatever. So they'll have probably got these poor cows that are raised at altitude, like he was saying there, and killed at a certain time of year while the moon's in a certain a certain shape. It's all bullshit.
Besides, the leather industry is also massively horrible for humans. Like if you only care about humans, it's horrifying if you look it up.
Yeah, it is absolutely horrific. But again, it's not something that I think Tristan is going to particularly care about. As long as he, there's something that he can use the end product for. He seems absolutely fine with that.
That's not what I would go by with a moral standard. Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
But at least, like I said, we got a clear answer now on whether or not he thinks that different types of pleasure that you can get out of an animal product, that there's more than just the food one.
Yeah. There's not
and
just
that
the
one
food.
rightfully pointed out.
If you can get any sort of use out of sort of any part of the animal, he seems to be fine with it. Apart from obviously, he seems to be a little less fond of hurting animals for just out and out, sadistic pleasure. He seems to be a little more against that. But in the end, it's all the same. If it's beaten for pleasure or beaten just to move it through a particular part of the slaughterhouse because you need it to get to the other end to have its throat slit. I mean, it's still getting beaten. It's still getting beaten.
But now at least we got some. I'm glad that we got some clarity on this because that was a big question that I had.
Yeah, it's not just for food. I mean, he's happy with any.
Well, at least those two, like clothing. Now he did mention utility, so utility in general.
Yeah. So
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when calves are skinned and like little calves are skinned for their calf skin, that's fine too. Baby cows, just to wear them.
Yes.
Even though there's like other options available, that's all cool.
I mean, there are other options available, but I don't think you have a pair of shoes as cool as my alligator skin shoes. I think my shoes are better than your shoes.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
They are
Jeffrey
super
Dahmer
cool.
had a pretty nice.
They are
Jeffrey
super cool.
Dahmer had some pretty nice human skin shoes. I don't know. I wouldn't be seen dead in like a pair of human skin shoes. Like,
Of course not.
Like,
But a human and an alligator aren't the same thing. So here we are back at square one.
I think we've established.
I like my
yeah,
alligator
no,
skin
class them
shoes.
as the same.
And raising, in fact, an alligator skin is exceptionally cruel because they have to raise them to be the exact same size. No good pair of alligator skin shoes is made from one alligator. You need two because you need the patterns on the front to be exactly the same, and they're killed at a specific age depending on what your shoe size is, depending if you get them custom made. So it's particularly cruel. But I like my alligator skin shoes. That's what the alligators are raised for. The alligators weren't happily walking around in the wild when someone saw them and said, I'm going to make a pair of shoes out of this guy. You know, what they did was they farmed them, they raised them, they made my shoes, and I love the end product. And I do not feel sorry for those alligators at all.
So
I never will.
So basically, as long as we get pleasure from the action,
as long as we get some goods, some goods from the action.
Some goods from the action, we can
gelatin, bone marrow, skin, leather. I'm down with it.
Anything we want to, like, so if I actually had, like, if I had an animal right here on stream, I could have an animal right here. Say the cows are highly sentient beings like dogs.
Yeah.
They care for their young. They experience all the basic experiences we do as human beings, right? We might have some intelligence over cows, but most basic experiences.
I have a lot.
No, we might. Well, there are human beings that. Well, how about this? There are human beings that have about the sentience of a cow.
I'm not sure it's a good idea to switch to this because I think we've already established that he thinks of humans and non-human animals completely differently.
Yeah, he's just looping. I'm afraid he's looping back to the empathy argument again. Like,
I mean, I think this is going to pretty much go the same way for the rest of the video. To be fair, I mean, we can carry on watching the rest there if anyone in the chat wants us to carry on.
How much time you've got left on it?
I mean, we're still a fair bit to go. I think we're still probably. It doesn't really state how long, but let me see if I can just see. It doesn't actually even say. We're about 2/3 maybe just a little bit less through. But I'm willing to carry on and watch the rest of it if everyone wants to carry on. But I do feel like it's going to be very similar sort of thing. I think we're looping around on a lot of subjects here. But do you want to carry on for a little while longer?
I'm fine with carrying on because we might as well do the whole thing.
Raceley was saying we have to watch every minute. Real vegans never quit. And
if you want to, like, you can edit out the uninteresting bits. Like, everybody knows that about live streams. You're gonna have to. Take the full debate.
Well, Raceley has spoken. Let's carry on for a bit and see what's carry on said. I'm hoping. I don't think I've watched this last section because I've watched a bit at the beginning, but I've not watched it all. So I don't know. Maybe they'll get something different here.
And about the experience of a cow, and they're born like that. We protect them with human rights.
Made in the image of God.
Okay, yeah, but if they weren't made in the image of God and that you couldn't tell them apart from other humans, would it be okay to skin them alive and make shoes out of them?
Yeah, I mean, I have a distinction between animal life and human life. We've been over this 100 times. You're saying that I think we should be able to skin people with mental deficiencies to make shoes out of them, and that's my argument? Because it's not.
Well, how about this? How about if these human beings were just they weren't made in the image of God, they were farmed. And we were somehow creating a farm of human beings.
Okay.
So they're not made in the image of God. They were like we were creating them, and you couldn't tell the difference between like us and them in terms of our experience. And we're basically hominids, and these people existed on this farm. It's fine for me to torture them because they're not made in the image of God.
If you can't distinguish between human life and animal life, then I feel very sorry.
Sorry, just so we're clear, Has Joey not just said, though, that they are still humans, just we factory farm the humans?
Yeah, his point was he mentioned created in the image of God as like an argument that humans are created in the image of God, therefore off limits. But Joey's trying to post a situation where we have a slaughterhouse where we breed humans specifically like how we like them. So we breed them to be big and fat and like,
but they would still be humans, though, wouldn't they? They would still be humans, and they would still use the genetic materials from man and woman to create. So I can't see this being a good avenue to go down because
they're talking past each other.
Tristan's again just going to say it doesn't matter. I assume he's going to say it doesn't matter if you farm them or not; they're still humans. And obviously he cares more about humans than other non-human animals. So I'm not sure this was a good avenue, but we'll see.
Sorry for you. Because I'm a father, I have kids. My daughter is maybe not as smart as a dog. She's only 2. Do I think you should be able to make shoes out of my daughter? Is that what you're saying? Because I don't think
not
anyone.
your daughter.
Well, I don't
I'm
think
creating a hypothetical.
Well, no.
We're
Not hypotheticals because we live in the real world, don't we? I've given lots of hypotheticals, but I don't like to go down the hypothetical route. I said if I could kill animals without torturing them and without being cruel, and it would be ideal if they could all live wonderful lives, I could give hypotheticals too. But we live in the real world. We live in the world of supply and demand. We live in the world where third world people are trying to make the best living they can by raising animals as fast as they can in as big numbers as we can. And it's fine. It's really fine. I believe it's fine.
You don't eat animals for third world people, that's for sure. You eat animals because you like the taste and it's for pleasure and things like that. But
absolutely.
I was just creating a hypothetical to test this. I'm trying to test. It's just a consistency test, by the way. It's just like trying to test whether or not if there were human beings that weren't made in the image of God and we sort of created them, because this is actually logically possible.
So if I made a human farm,
I was going to say before we carry on, Garuda's just asking, will you be singing on this live stream at all?
I don't think so. Like, first off, it's kind of late, and I have to keep my parents into account. My neighbors into account.
Maybe on another stream.
Maybe on another stream because it's not really like fitting for the situation.
Yeah,
but I appreciate that you're asking about it.
My daughter Bella is becoming quite a reasonable singer, so maybe you two guys can do something together at some point. And I know this is off topic from what we're looking at, but my daughter Bella wanted to do some kind of stream which was like maybe where we donate the money to an animal sanctuary or something, where she does a selection of songs that are in support of the animals, etc. So maybe if it's something that we could do, maybe you could try and do something together for that. But we'll have to have a look.
I'd be happy to help. Like either appear on the stream and sing, or maybe we could do something together. I think singing together over stream would be difficult because of the delay.
Yeah. We could maybe compensate for that in some way. I don't know.
Maybe we can do something with that.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. I'm up for that.
No singing today, sorry, Garuda. No singing today.
I made a human farm. Basically, they're my human beings. Is it okay for me to cut them up? That you couldn't distinguish them from.
Well, this is actually, this is actually a very, very interesting point. This is a very interesting point, and we are, as humans, going down this road. So we might find some common ground here. Because people are talking about raising humans that are, for example, they'll take your DNA code and raise a human without the brain or mind or consciousness or whatever, so that you could have access to that human's liver or heart or, I don't believe in that case. No, humans are humans, and I don't believe that we should be doing that. I believe humans are made in the image of God. And I don't believe if you started a farm raising humans for organs, for organ transplants, which is an area of science that is being explored right now. Do I think that's right? No, I don't believe in abortion. I don't believe in harvesting the body parts of babies who are 8 months or 7 months old when they're aborted, to take their tissue and their skin and their bone to run human experiments on. No, I think that's all morally evil, because humans are humans, or animals are animals, and I'll always have a distinction between them.
Yeah, I think that's been his standpoint through the whole thing, really. I don't think it's anything different that he's not said previously, really.
He's being consistent. We're not going to go into the topic of like what he just mentioned just now, but he's being consistent. Fair enough.
Yeah, it is. I don't think there's any point in covering what he's just said, to be fair.
But I was just trying to create this scenario so that they weren't actually made in the image of God, to see if that was actually the trait.
Every human is created in the image of God.
No, because if we created them, they're made in our own image, so we could farm them to be slightly genetically different.
I created my daughter. In fact, humans have been farmed to be genetically different. Humans have been farmed to be genetically different. There was a selective breeding program.
Then they wouldn't be technically made in the image of God, would they? Then, Tristan.
No, I think Joey's gone off here a bit, to be fair to him.
Yeah, this. He's just trying to push this hypothetical, and I get what he's trying to do, but it's not working. It's not catching on.
No, it's definitely not working. And at the end of the day, even if we bred humans, they would, like we said before, they would still use the genetic materials from a male and a female human. to bring them into existence, and therefore they would still be human. And in Tristan's point of view, would then, no matter how much you didn't educate them or you kept them in the dark or whatever, they are still, according to his beliefs, the image of God, and therefore this should not be happening to them. So, you know, I think this is not the greatest idea for Joey to be pursuing this one, to be fair.
But what may be interesting though is like ask Tate, like, okay, what makes it human? Like, what is there a moral difference between, like, say, me versus a literal hunk of flesh that I've cloned off of myself in a laboratory? Like, technically the tissue would be human, but would it still be created in the image of God? Should it be worthy of moral consideration or not?
I don't think it's like you've grown a lung in. I think the way Joey's worded it is you've grown an entire human, haven't you?
Yeah. Okay. So this human in this scenario would still have a brain and would be sentient.
Yeah. Therefore, you know, they would
but
have
maybe
to
continue the conversation,
even,
like, does he mean, like, what makes a human? Is it the DNA? Is it the fact that we have a brain? Is it what about that is what Tate thinks? Where does he draw the line? Because
I would assume the point that what Tate is saying is that moment of, because he says he doesn't believe in abortion either. So that moment of conception where the egg and the sperm hit each other and life is created, that is where God has had his hand. Hands in. I would assume where he's saying. So whatever grows from that is in the image of God. So, and that would need to be done for a human farm. Therefore, you know, he's consistently saying that he wouldn't agree with that, which is all he's been saying throughout, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
Race Leaver said he would push the image of God thing. Are other apes also the same image? Again, you know, apes aren't humans, and I think they fall into the same category as non-human animals for him, with no rights.
Like in biology too, like we are a type of ape. Yeah. So it would not be human. So I'm trying to, like, I would still push the image of God thing, because I'm curious about where he draws the line specifically, because that would be interesting.
I would think he would. I mean, we'd have to see if he says anything, but I would, and if Joey pushes it, but I would assume the line is, "Are you human?" And that's it. I don't think there's any give. I don't think there's any give whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It's also a bit of a diversion, but yeah, let's continue.
Hi, Jenny.
See, you're going down a road that just it's a dead end. They are humans. If you
trying to find out.
So I'm the descendant of African-American slaves. African-American slaves were the product of eugenics programs, of breeding programs, where they got the biggest, strongest slaves and the biggest, strongest women and interbred them to create bigger, stronger slaves. And it was all a big market. And that was completely wrong. And there's been slave trades everywhere. North Africa being one of the world's largest, China, the United States. The slave trades have existed all over the world. If you're saying because I think it's fine to farm cows, that I think it's fine to farm people, I'm never, ever going to agree with you. Humans are humans and animals are animals.
I think Race Leaver's going crazy now. He's going, apes aren't humans, but humans are in the image of an ape. Other apes aren't humans. Some apes are humans. I think he's just lost it.
No, what he's saying is correct. Like,
yeah, no,
all humans are apes, but not all apes are human.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Fair.
Yeah. I just thought it was funny that he'd written human and ape so many times.
Yeah.
I don't know if you think that. I'm trying to find out whether you feel that if this trait made in God's image didn't exist, like in some hypothetical, whether you would think it's okay to do what we do to animals to those hypothetical humans.
You'll never convince me that is a scenario that exists. It can never exist. Every human is made in the image of God.
Well, basically, we can do this. We did with these animals that exist right now. They're selectively bred. They're not made how God made them. They're human-created animals. Like you know about the pigs and the chickens and the cows and the dairy producers. They're all human selectively bred freak shows at the moment.
Yeah,
like this is eugenics, like genetic manipulation that humans have done to these non-human animals. That in fact, being a chicken is just a life of suffering because they're too big to hold their own weight. Now we do this to animals. It is logically possible, and it's just possible for us to do this to human beings as well, and they wouldn't technically be made in God's image. Is it okay to do what we do to animals in this case, in this hypothetical case of
To
human beings.
humans
I'm just trying to figure it out.
Because that case exists all the time, and that case is actually the case right now, right here in the world. If I'm dating a girl because I think she's big and strong and I want to have big, strong children, people make these kind of choices all the time. Are you saying that child is selectively bred and we can use her to make a pair of shoes? Humans are humans, animals are animals.
No,
so
I'm not saying that at all.
I could actually cut it off one step before this. I could cut it off at the step whereas I think if any weirdo was selectively breeding humans for any reason, then no, humans have free will and free agency, and they should be able to reproduce with whoever they want. If any human is selectively breeding humans, then that's slavery, and slavery is wrong in the first place. So we should never even get there if we care.
Well, he has named a trait that humans have there, which he made it sound like he is an identifiable human trait, is the free will, and etc.
I think that that's an important one where I disagree with Tate here, because I don't believe in free will. I don't know how you feel about that.
Okay,
Maybe that would be a
do you
topic.
want to elaborate on it for me?
Sure. I'll try to keep this brief, but I believe that I have a will, but that will is influenced or actually made up entirely out of my genetic material, my external circumstances, my internal circumstances, what I had for breakfast this morning. I don't believe that there is truly a free will within a human, if that makes sense.
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure because I've always assumed that humans generally have free will. I would think. I mean, maybe I'm thinking about it incorrectly, but even if somebody's forcing you to do something that you don't want to do, for instance, let's say they're making you work on a slave, so as a slave, and you're working, so your free will has been removed from you. You still have the free will, ultimately, to stop yourself breathing. Maybe. If you see what there's all. It sounds weird, but there's always an option for you to not do that thing. I mean, am I thinking of free will incorrectly here? I mean, I've got free will to walk into the other room. I've got free will to go wherever I want within reason, I suppose. But if somebody then comes in and say takes my liberty away from me and puts me, say, in a room and locks the door, so that aspect of my free will is gone, then but you've still got free will to bang on the door. I mean, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but you've still got.
I think what you're describing is will in general, and I do believe that humans have that. I have a will. I just don't think that will is inherently.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm missing the separation between will and free will, maybe.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm also having a hard time explaining it. Free will isn't the same as a choice. Yeah, no, I agree. Like I would say free will isn't the same as consequences because it doesn't. I don't believe that it absolves us of any responsibility, just like that. A book that explains this really well, by the way.
I'm gonna have to get into this at some point and see what the difference is, and maybe it's just not a subject I've particularly thought about or maybe covered in any kind of depth to understand. But I think generally,
I would recommend like this is not the end.
I think all animals have will, don't they? Like the fish wants to swim in that direction, the cow wants to chew the grass and walk over there. The pig wants to do that. The humans want to do this. And there are things that can inhibit us doing, from doing what we want to do, and and certain societal things can be put in place to prohibit exactly everything that you can do. But generally, I suppose within a certain structure, you've still got the will to do whatever you want. But I don't know what the difference between that is and free will. And also,
I think any will, maybe this helps. I think any will that we may have can always be led back to an external or internal circumstance that we cannot control.
Right.
And if I may recommend a book on this, it's actually a really great book. It's not the end all of this discussion, but it's free will.
It's probably
by
something
Sam
I
Harris.
can't discuss too much because I'm not entirely sure of the distinction between the two. So maybe
I appreciate that,
generally saying that Sam Harris has done something on free will as well. I'm not sure who Sam is. Do you know who Sam Harris is?
Sam Harris, yeah, that's the book I'm talking about.
Okay, is that the book you're talking about? Okay, maybe I'll have a read of that, and then maybe we'll
but
talk about it.
this could be a really interesting topic, right, for us to discuss.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that a different day. There, but I don't think I'm up enough on the difference between will and free will. So maybe we'll talk about it some other time.
Definitely, yeah, that sounds fun.
Care about morals and humanity.
Well, I do care. I just apply the morals consistently.
Yeah, but it's a cow.
I mean, it doesn't matter if they are human or non-human. Like, and in this case, in the hypothetical case, they would technically be non-human like hybrids. You know, so I'm just asking for consistency in both like places. Obviously, I don't think it's right to enslave animals and decapitate them because
the trouble is, from Tate's point of view, he is being consistent. You know, he thinks he is consistent. You know,
on this part, yes.
Yeah. So you know, Joey's saying he wants consistency. Well, according to Tate, he is being consistent. He cares about humans and nothing else, for the most part. For the most part, unless he owns that particular animal and it lives with him, and then you can't touch it, and he probably won't touch it either, unless he wants to eat it. But you know, I think he generally is being consistent, just not the kind of consistency that you would want from him. Mooncat has no free will. His whole YouTube career has already been mapped out by me, and he's done exactly as I desire, step by step, until this point, and I will continue to. Well,
but then where does race leavers' free will come from?
I did feel some kind of like you know, like invisible force pushing me into different ways. And when I did that John Venus video, and I had a reindeer like poo on John Venus's face, I thought it had come from somebody other than me because it's just too weird.
Honestly, I would be really interested. Like, I'm sorry, I'm going back on the tangent again. But how do you? This is a question for anyone who's religious, by the way. I'm having a really hard time seeing how you can combine being religious, believing in a God specifically, with having free will. Because, and this is specifically for people who believe in a God that is almighty. So nothing happens outside of God's will. So you believe in an almighty God, or you don't believe in an almighty God, then I understand. But I'm just wondering how you would combine that. Maybe that's an interesting question.
As I say, I mean, I'll have to read the book and become more up on free will, etc. before I'll say anything.
Yeah, sorry. Let's not continue on this tangent.
Morally distinct from human sentient beings, like not really, like especially when you get down to the sentience of like children and that. You know?
I don't.
A child and a pig are pretty like even in terms of sentience.
To
like,
you.
you know, especially like a toddler.
To you.
So I mean,
not to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, you might have other reasons to care about human beings. Like,
No,
if it's a decision between a human and
doesn't matter if it's a child born in China who I've never seen in my life. Humans are humans, animals are animals. No one in my chat thinks you're coming to a conclusion with this point, because this hypothetical scenario you talk about, where we selectively bred humans for thousands of years to create mutant humans, could you eat them? Could you eat an animal that has some human DNA? I mean, this has never happened, and this isn't the real world that we live on. This is.
I've got to agree. I mean, I don't agree with practically anything Tate says. You know, it's how he feels, but it's not what I believe to be the correct thing. But I've got to agree with him on this. I think this hypothetical is not working out very well and needs to be moved on from. To be fair,
it's such a shame that because he did such a. He's doing quite a good job pushing through here. Why not for those other topics? Because they kind of went back and forth, responding to something else every time. And this is the one he decides to hook onto. And that's too bad.
Yeah, definitely.
This is the real world that we live in.
I just didn't believe that being made in God's image was the only morally relevant trait.
No,
I was just trying to figure out.
It's not. My argument is that it doesn't have to be morally relevant. Cows and chickens are beneath me, and they're beneath humans, and I don't care. I don't care about cows and chickens in the same way that I care about humans, and I never will. Or crocodiles, or any life form.
Some people have actually thought that way about human beings as well. They've lowered human beings down and used these bizarre justifications to do horrible things to human beings.
Yeah, I'm the product of slaves myself. I'm the product of the slave trade. My father was an African American.
Horrible.
Yeah. So why
exactly?
Why
are the human race these horrible?
Yeah. Why are you trying to
correlate
like these two things? Yeah. Why are you trying to correlate these two things with food production?
I'm saying that what has happened in history,
because the lowest form of every argument is you're Hitler. That's how all arguments dissolve into. And now you're talking about the Holocaust.
No, I'm saying that these things have happened in history. No, I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm not smiling at what they're saying. I was just smiling about some of the comments. I was really like the real thing. The real thing was saying, where is it? 3 hours. You guys are some good bladders. Yeah,
I'm actually fine on that. I just don't have any more water. So.
Do you want to grab some water quickly?
Shall we do that? Shall we take a A break?
No, I mean I'm okay. I've still got water, but if you want to grab more water, you can.
I'm just gonna quickly grab some water. Maybe you can ask if there's
I
any
thought you had some
questions for
food to eat as
now.
well.
I do. It's like well, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I'll
You
be
grab
right
some
back.
water. I'll look through the comments and speak to some of these wonderful people that are still with us after all this time. Garuda, let's see what you're saying there. The vegan Mooncat. I am religious and I don't follow the cringe vegan. Oh, come on, Garuda. No, we're not a religion. Let's not go down this road. I know we've not spoken in a while, but come on. But 6 to 12% DNA difference. I don't. I think most humans would probably value human life slightly more than maybe non-human animal life, but it doesn't mean that they want non-human animal life to suffer or be harmed needlessly for no reason whatsoever. So I have no problem if a human says to me, I value human life more than I do non-human life, as long as then you don't go out and needlessly harm animals without any reason, which is what always happens. So I'm not going to go down the argument that humans are equal to non-human animals, because I know so many people will just ride against it, and it becomes counterproductive, and I don't think for the vast majority of the time gets anyone anywhere. So maybe some people. Maybe it would work for some people, but I've generally, most humans think more about humans than they do non-human animals. So, but at that same point, as I said, I don't see why you then need to go harming animals. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. It just doesn't. Let's have a look at anyone else saying. What's Leon saying? Which is more cringe, harming the vulnerable when you don't have to, or standing up for them? Yeah, I mean, there's zero point in harming animals. I mean, Tristan throughout this entire stream is pretty much said, if I can harm them, if they need to be harmed for what I want from them, then that's absolutely fine. If I need my alligator shoes and 2 crocodiles need to die to give me a matching pair, I don't care about that. If I need a bucket of KFC and an animal in some kind of factory farm, who suffered, needs to suffer for that, I don't care. I mean, he's been very consistent with his I don't caring. He doesn't care, and if he can get some kind of utility, through clothing or any other or food from the animal, then it just doesn't really matter to him. Michael's saying, why Joey wasn't more flexible here, I really don't know. I think that Joey's come up against somebody who's a fairly immovable object, to be fair. He's not bowing in any way to sort of. He says he knows it all. He says he's aware of it all. You can't give him any surprises, according to Tristan Tate. He's fully aware of all the suffering, and he just doesn't care. So I really do struggle to think of how Joey could make inroads in this into Tristan's sort of psyche or whatever, and bring him round, because according to him, he knows it all and just does not care. And at the end and he's got the word of God, which allows him to do whatever he wants to do without any kind of consequence, and therefore it's ordained by the Creator. So it's a real struggle to get through to him, and I feel for Joey, because it's a hard thing. It seems a very hard person to he's not going to easily change this man's mind. The vegan mover, I don't like it when vegans refer to my bloodline as chocolate. Do people refer to it as that? I mean, like I am a chicken or a pig. I am a human with dark skin hue, not a monkey or a chicken.
Jeez, dude, I left for 2 minutes. What happened?
I don't know. I don't think.
What did you say?
I don't think. I mean, maybe it's part of the world I'm from. I don't know, but I've never heard anyone being classed as chocolate people. I've never heard of that in my entire life.
Look. He means he's referring to himself as that, and
I
like
don't like
I am
it when
a chicken
vegans
or a
refer
pig.
to my bloodline of. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Maybe it's just a terminology you use. Then sorry. I thought you were saying other people were calling it. I misread it.
Our point was that we do not compare people to either monkeys or chickens. We don't have the same moral standard to humans as to animals, so that's blatantly untrue. We also acknowledged our own bias in that.
Yeah.
And let's see, what did I want to say? Oh yeah, by the way, humans are not monkeys. Humans are apes.
Yeah. And as I was saying, Joy, I mean, if people want to say that they believe that humans are outside the animal kingdom and that they have a preference for that species, the human species over any other species, I don't particularly get offended by that. It doesn't matter to me, as long as they then don't use that as an excuse to go harm unnecessarily every other animal that lives on the planet with us.
This is a mukbang stream now, by the way.
Yeah, hey, oh, you can't go wrong with that. But yeah, you can have a preference for your own species and not harm other species. I mean, that's absolutely fine. But obviously not in Tristan's view. Race Lever, what is he saying? Buddy, it's not vegans that came up with the scientific criteria to classify humans and that put humans in the ape species. Turn your brain on and stop lying and pretending it was vegans that did that. No, we as I say, we get blamed for the avocados and the almonds as well. It's just not us. We don't.
Were there any more like specific questions or something you would like to go over, or?
No, not really. It's just going through a few things, but we can get on with the video now. Now you're back, and see what they have to say.
Yes,
saying that the mindset definitely
and that's morally wrong.
Where we say these beings don't
Sushi.
matter because of X.
Well, who says that?
And basically,
God doesn't think that.
well, people with these kind of animals are obviously sentient beings. You know, they can experience torture and suffering and experience the world. They have a subjective experience. If I harmed an animal, everyone knows that that's animal cruelty and it's wrong because they're having their own individual experience. And what people tend to do is they go, they're below me because of X reason, because they're not made in God's image, or they're not throughout history, and it's what humans have used to justify harming other humans. And it's a bad mindset.
Yeah, I know it's a bad mindset. I agree, that's a bad mindset. So where's this going?
Well, I'm just asking to apply like
to
a
cows,
more consistent mindset.
to chickens.
That's
not consistent.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you might think it's stupid, but I don't see a cow as any different to other sentient beings. Like, I don't see them as any real difference in terms of their suffering.
And there we go. You don't see a cow's different. This is what I said. Do you believe that human lives and animal lives are exactly the same?
In terms of how they experience like a knife in the throat, it's just as bad for that cow as it is for like a child. So I think they're both wrong. You know,
that's the food chain. Sharks don't care how I feel. They bit me in half either.
We're back to sharks.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think what sharks do is like ethical. I wouldn't mimic my behavior and go, hey, you know, sharks, they eat other sharks, and lions eat other lions' cubs, and horrible things happen in nature. I would never point to nature and say that's an ethical way of us living in civilization. Obviously, that would justify us killing each other and eating each other. Cannibalism happens in nature.
Look, cannibalism's wrong. And if you're going to ever try to drag the argument of humans are in some way equal to animals, so we shouldn't treat humans this way, so we shouldn't treat animals in this way, if that is going to be the baseline of this last 10 minutes that you keep going on about, that's never going to be a conclusion that someone like me is going to reach. And it's not going to be a conclusion that any healthy person is going to reach either.
Okay, I think Joey could have explained this a lot better, because I do understand. I agree with him that in terms of the experience of suffering, if someone experiences suffering, they deserve moral consideration. From my perspective, from like the vegan perspective, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like he's making it seem as, I feel like he could be clearer about this, and maybe that would have like avoided this entire tangent.
Yeah, definitely. You need to be clear, like you say. But sorry, let me just see what I got a bit sidetracked. I think during that thing, vegan Mooncat, we are the same species, even though I have a dark hue skin color. So Joey's trying Joey trying to the experience of black humans. This is my issue.
I'm sorry, I don't get that one. I agree we're the same species, definitely.
Yeah, we're the same species. Okay.
What is Joey doing that you disagree with?
I am black or a non-human. No, I'm sorry, Garudi, you've lost me a bit. Maybe it was in response to somebody else, but you know, we're both humans, so I don't know. Michael saying pigs are used by the military and other services as they have very similar biology to humans.
Testing, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not sure about what percentage of similarity that we are to pigs or chimpanzees or a peanut. To be fair, you know, it's. I mean, wasn't there some kind of like fruit or vegetable that we've got so much in common with? I forget now which one it was, but
I think.
Yeah, I don't think this is an argument that's going to get get through to somebody like Tate. He literally sees a definite break off from humans and everything else, doesn't he? He definitely does. And I think Joey needs to maybe go down a different road here.
No healthy person.
Well, it's just that we share.
Is going to ever think that ever. So I mean, you keep looking for. I don't know what you're looking for me to say. I don't know if
I'm just trying to figure out what you fundamentally believe is like
killing humans is wrong. Killing animals is fine. That's what I fundamentally believe.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to figure out why because to me that's a contradiction because for the same.
Not to anyone else,
figure out why you think it's okay in this case and not
most people disagree with you. Because they are.
But most people don't think killing dogs is okay. But you think killing dogs is absolutely fine.
I think if someone wants to kill their dog, it's fine by me. I'm not going to tell them not to. It's their dog.
And in the case of these animals in poaching that you brought up as well, you have an issue with trophy hunting. It was.
It's not so much an issue. So we might find common ground because I'm glad that's over because I'm never ever going.
Well, I think they're going back to the because I think they almost started a conversation about trophy hunting before.
They did, yeah.
To be fair, I'm a little bit glad that section's over with as well because I don't think it was leading to anything constructive, for Joey or anyone. To be fair,
everything they said after he tried to bring up trophy hunting, Tate tried to bring up trophy hunting was just repetition.
Hold on a sec. Let me just see what this says. And then I'll get on with it because we've still got a bit to get through.
I feel like he's just throwing a bunch of terms
he's trying to discredit the experience
comment
of
section.
black people and Jewish people. I'm a chicken cow. I don't get it. Sorry, Garuda.
I think you're human.
Yeah, we all know you're human, so it's fine. And Joey knows you're human as well.
Going to correlate animal life and human life. That's just not a conclusion that I'm going to reach, or I don't think any healthy person is ever going to reach. So fishing for something down that well is always going to be non-productive. Not that you'd go fishing. Vegan joke there.
No.
I'm hilarious.
It's a bad joke.
I thought it was quite funny. Funny. Okay, fine. Yusuf laughed.
I wouldn't go fishing for humans, that's for sure.
My tech guy laughed. So that was a good joke. Trophy hunting. I think that trophy hunting is unfair. I like predators. I respect bears and lions, sharks. I respect elephants. I respect them because they're mightier than the human. If I could subdue an entire population of cows and have them run across a field because I have a dog chase after them and I could raise them for food, good. I made the cows. I created the cows. Going out there and shooting elephants, I don't think is a fair fight. And I think that vegans and people like me should get together and say, let's change the rules of trophy hunting. So you have to fight the animal in a fair way. Is that an improvement?
Fist to fist?
Is that an improvement on shooting them with guns? No.
To be fair, do we deal with animals in a fair fight in factory farms? I don't think we particularly do. There's no fair fight. If he's up for fair fights, then whenever he wants to eat a burger, he has to go and get like a whatever weight cow, and he has to wrestle it to the ground and subdue it. I don't know if he could.
I've said the one thing I agree with him though is I don't know if we're 3 hours into the stream. I think he can swear now. I think it takes a specific type of pussy to be hunting an animal. Like you're sitting in a trunk with a gun. You just have to pull a lever. Usually the animal has been put there specifically for you to shoot.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they've been shunted into little, into little narrow corridors, put down into certain areas where they can't escape, can't get out. And then you get a bolt gun and you shoot them in the head, or you lower them into a gas chamber or whatever. There's no fair fight in that.
I didn't swear.
So if he's fine with it for elephants and other such creatures, obviously, but
he seems fine. He seems fine with if it would be a fair fight. So I'm curious as to what he constitutes as a fair fight, because I don't think that fighting with an elephant with your bare hands is still a fair fight. Like you have no business being around the elephant to begin with.
Elliot's saying that my argument doesn't work about him having to wrestle cows, etc., because according to him, this is animals that he has made.
He's fine with that.
So he's fine. Then
Yeah.
you have dominion over them at that point, and can just use unfair methods of murder at that point, because you brought them into the world. You can just do what you want. Yeah, I mean, I don't fancy his chances of taking down a cow, or maybe even a pig, or if the fight was fair. Maybe it should be super fair. Maybe we should have never, you should fight pigs with tusks and all the other things that goes with it.
Are you gonna go on all fours and like how would you get the tusks? First off, that's not vegan.
No, I meant the pig should have tusks. And be. It's not,
I'd still say it's not entirely like fair, because you don't have the same first of weapons. Sometimes it's unfair towards skewed against a human.
Yeah,
but it's always like we have no business doing that to begin with.
And I'll agree that standing at, I don't know, 200 meters. I don't know anything about shooting. 200 meters away with a high-powered rifle and a scope and shooting an elephant down is completely unfair. But so is herding animals into small confined spaces in factory farms and then bolt gunning them when they can't even run away. None of them are a fair fight. So his argument is completely flawed.
I think depending on what the animal is, we should use different weapons.
I mean, fight a lion with your bare hands, or fight an elephant with your bare hands?
Well, I'm saying, like, if someone says to me, these big fat Americans usually, sorry Americans if you're listening, but it's usually you. They take these pictures next to these lions with their rifle, like they're some sort of champion. No. If you want to go fight a lion, I think you should have, I don't know, a sword and a shield, or a suit of armor and 2 knives.
Still doesn't
because
seem
then
fair.
At least if you do it, I can respect you. If I walk into someone's head and they have a lion's head mounted on the wall, I'd be a bit like, well, what did you do that for? And they'd be like, well, I shot it from 6 miles away with this high-powered rifle. Hunting's natural. Hunting may be natural, but your gun certainly isn't. 2 knives, suit of armor, go and kill the lion. Because that way, if I walk into your house, you've got a lion's head on the wall, and you're covered in scars and bruises.
I don't think this sounds fair at all. I think he's rethought his stance during that, because a lion is going to tear him to shreds. So now he's in a suit of armor with 2 knives and a shield. Even though I don't know how he's wielding 2 knives with a shield in hand, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, but either way, if you're using anything that's unnatural, because he just said hunting is natural, he thinks that that's a stupid argument. None of the weapons he just mentioned are natural.
No, sorry, I was just getting an intruder almost there. Leave me be, on your way, children.
Be gone.
Be gone. It's he's utter nonsense from him again. Utter nonsense. He's giving himself that advantage again, isn't he? The same as what's the difference between a suit of armor, 2 swords, and a shield compared to some slaughterhouse walls, a channel that you're pushing it down, and a bolt gun? What makes one fairer than the other? I mean, it's not, is it?
Yeah. I'm curious. Maybe he's gonna make like an analogy here, so I'm
Possibly.
curious what he has to say.
Cuts. I'd be like, you're the fucking man. That's impressive. Can we at least agree that we should change the rules on weaponry? Because fewer people would do it.
If someone fights a lion with their bare hands and wins, then I think they deserve some kind of medal, because that's like an unheard of thing.
Good. So let's agree that we need to change the rules.
So should we change the rules on like factory farming as well? Because we seem to use like these beings can't escape. We breed them into these prisons, and then we send them into like slaughterhouses where they can't escape. And like, don't you think we should change the rules there too?
Nope. I think not at all. I think if you could somehow viably run a lion factory farm or an elephant factory farm, all credit to you. If you manage to pull that off, well done. So no, I don't think we should.
How about this? How about this, Tristan?
So he's I don't know where to go with him, to be fair. He's now he's saying that we can have factory farms full of lot. 1 minute the lion's out in the wild and you've got to fight it fair, but even though you're in armor with knives and shields, but now you can kill lions in a factory farm. So I
thank you, Elliot Davies, for just summarizing that, because he just took the quote that Tate just said. That's very practical. Yeah, subdue. Subdue. First off, subdue. I mean, how hard is it to subdue an entire population of cows if you've bred them to the point where they cannot defend themselves? And also, like predators. Good. I made the cows. I created the cows. Yeah, you would also we choose and pick what type of animals we have, right? Because, like I said earlier,
Well,
in
yeah,
the
some
stream,
are way more dangerous,
yeah,
and you
but
won't be able
also
to
they're not as meaty.
subdue them as much.
Predators are not like interesting in terms of meat because they're not very,
No, and you generally have to feed them meat as well. So we're subduing the easiest and most maybe pliable and controllable animals.
And I'm a bit disappointed in Joey, honestly, for his comment. Like, no, I don't think you deserve a medal for fighting a lion. Like I said, you have no business fighting the lion.
I was trying to breeze over that.
Yeah.
But, I was. It's a little bit of a disappointing comment from me. I'll be, to be fair, we've got to be consistent, and that was a disappointing comment from Joey there as well.
Yeah.
But yeah,
he's getting him. Maybe he's a bit. What do you call it? Absorbed by the manosphere there. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I mean, it's just maybe trying to sort of like match some of the in air quotes alpha behavior from Tristan here. But yeah, I wouldn't say that either. Let's play.
We liberate all of the animals in the factory farm situation, the cows, the pigs, the chickens, the lambs,
Nope.
and even the ones that are going to the slaughterhouse. And the only meat you eat is if you fight a lion with your bare hands and win.
No,
How about that?
No, that's just stupid.
No?
Why would I need to fight a lion with my bare hands and win to enjoy a bucket of KFC? I think
Because,
the
it's unfair.
entire
Because it's
ecosystem.
unfair.
The entire ecosystem. No, it's fair. It's fair. The man killing the chickens is perfectly entitled, and he created the chickens. I'm not against lion factory farms. By the way,
I thought God created. Wait a second. I thought God created the animals one, and we're not even eating animals that were created by God two. If you're a God-fearing like a Christian, these animals are created by human beings and they're genetically bred freak shows.
So is every vegetable. So is every fruit.
Isn't this?
So is every fruit and every vegetable.
Fruits aren't sentient. God.
Yeah, we've genetically modified vegetables for sure, but and fruits. But I mean, that's I don't even think that's a very disingenuous sort of thing to say anyway. And it's not
Joey is
remotely the same.
repeating his point. Joey is repeating the point that Andrew Tate just said.
Yeah.
Andrew Tate, sorry.
Tristan.
Tate, sorry.
We just call him Tate. We can't go wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I mean, no one's denying it. I mean, it's like almost a bit of a gotcha there. Well, we modify fruits and vegetables. So what? Fruits and vegetables don't feel pain. So this isn't even the subject we're talking about. It's I know we're talking about veganism, but we're currently not talking about do plants feel pain, are we? Or anything else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, they're talking about what is fair or isn't fair, but Joey is still trying to loop it back to the empathy argument.
Which he doesn't have any of. So
yeah,
it's pretty.
At least not in this context. He's trying to bring it back to like a care about animals, and everybody cares a little bit. Like he just said no. So
yeah, it's
God created animals to feel pain and suffer with a brain and a central nervous system and all that. If you believe that, why did God create animals to suffer and also experience well-being and happiness and
your argument broke down in your first
factory farm them?
Your argument broke down in the first 5 seconds because you're saying, oh, it's unnatural because these animals are created by humans by selective breeding. So is every vegetable and fruit that you eat. Everyone.
No,
almost without exception.
I'm talking about sentient. I'm talking about the beings that
there's no
matter morally,
in
like sentient
fruits and vegetables.
animals.
Apple, chicken, apple. I don't care.
God created apples not to suffer. No brain, no central nervous system, no pain receptors, no eyes, no. So there's no nerves. So you can obviously that seems like something you can eat without causing them any pain and suffering.
Yeah, but I don't care about chickens. I know chickens suffer.
But we didn't. What I'm asking is, you talked about the Bible and about animals being in the Bible that we can eat, right? But these animals are nothing to do with God. These animals are human, selectively bred freak shows. It's more like the work of the devil. We're talking about suffering nodes.
We know it's the work of man. You know the devil didn't build the factory farm, and the devil didn't create the modern day chicken.
Do you believe that this is God? If you looked in a factory farm and seen a bunch of chickens suffering on their faces and overgrown bodies, would you say that's the work of God?
No, it's the work of man.
But so men can do evil things. Not, I thought if you believe in like God and
it would be evil. It would be evil if you did it to people. Chickens, I don't care about.
So it's only so.
Joey really needs to stop going down this road. I mean, it's not getting anywhere. It hasn't got. We've been watching him for and responding to over like 3 hours and 22 minutes here, and it's always
what he just said. Sorry, what Tate just said. That's where for me free will falls apart.
Okay.
Maybe that clarifies it a little bit.
Oh, I get you. But yeah, it's. I mean, I think Tate's made his position fairly clear. He said the words "I don't care" many times. Humans are different to non-human animals. He doesn't absolutely remotely care what happens to them in any way whatsoever, and he feels no moral obligation to make sure that they even have welfare. As long as he gets something out of it in the end, either food or a pair of shoes. So it's I really don't think that this was the road to keep going down. But it's hard for Joey because with things that normally work, maybe he's found over his career, talking to people in the streets and everything else. A lot of these, well, at least one of the things he said possibly triggers a response within somebody, but it's triggering nothing interesting, nothing at all, other than the fact that this is how I feel about animals, and that you can't change my mind.
Yeah, I think it's just too bad that he's not pointing out. I said it a couple of times that he is still conflating personal feelings with morality, with what he thinks is objectively good or bad.
Yeah.
Maybe another interesting topic. Do you think that morality is ultimately objective or subjective?
Oh.
We can keep it for another time. You don't have to answer now.
I'll have a think. I think after like this long watching it, I think. And I think we've been going in so many circles with some of the things that they've been doing. I think my mind's turning to mush. But we're going to fight through it. We're
gonna try and power through
Basically,
this one a little
anything
bit.
bad that happens to animals is not evil and not the devil's work. It's human work. But anything bad that happens to humans is the devil's work. Yeah.
You started this by saying that you are not everything bad. If an alligator eats me, that's not Satan. That's nature. And
I'm talking about factory farms. Like just looking at the footage, right? Because anyone can go watch factory farm footage right now. They can go look at my investigations in my Uncovered series. They can look at that, right?
Yeah.
And just if you're a religious person, like say you're Muslim, you're Christian, whatever, look in that factory farm, look in that slaughterhouse of the suffering and the animals dying in their own blood, and go, is that God or the devil?
Well, I think you're falling on your face here, because we started this argument with you saying that you don't believe in a God, and now you're trying to say, oh, but it's wrong what happens to chickens. So is that the devil? And now you're invoking the devil on man-made farming processes, which feed millions of people worldwide, and I'm very grateful for them. And that's the work of, it's the work of man. And I love chickens.
I'm just fitting the beliefs of others, because in Islam, actually, you brought up Islam before, but in Islam, there's actually like a little bit of something about animal welfare in their religion, where they believe that causing animals suffering and cruelty is haram, right? And I speak to Muslims quite a lot, and we have actually quite productive discussions.
Wonderful.
Now they at least believe that causing animal suffering and cruelty is wrong, is morally wrong, and it's haram. You can't eat that flesh, right?
Are you a Muslim?
No, I'm not a Muslim.
Why are you invoking their arguments here?
Because
I live with a Muslim.
You brought up.
I live with two. There's one right here next to me.
Yeah, I know. Andrew's a Muslim as well now. Okay, but what I'm saying is that you don't even believe that causing animals cruelty in factory farms is wrong, and you brought up Islam before and said, oh, they just slit the animals' throats, right? And you believe that's a good way of doing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, in Islam, you can't even be. You can't.
Every point
factory farms are.
I feel like when I said there was never going to be any debate, I think every point that you've tried to raise, we're just going back to things that I said within the first 20 minutes. If you can kill them as humanely as possible, that would be good.
He has been exactly what he's been saying from the beginning. Yeah,
I'm with Tate on this one. I agree.
And things have been circling round a lot during the whole the whole thing. Occasionally, I thought Joey was going to break out and go down a different road, but he always seems to pull it back to the same road, where Tate's response is, "I don't care," and God gave him permission.
Yeah, just not to be hypocritical here and say, oh, he should do it differently while not providing an alternative. I think that they discussed a number of very interesting topics that we've talked about as well, that I wish that Joey would have gone into deeper. So like the specific scenarios that they discussed, that is something that he could have gone deeper into. At least ask the questions, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I said an hour ago.
So factory farms are bad because they cause the animals suffering, yeah?
No, they're not bad.
So it's just morally factory farms are morally neutral, but cutting an animal's head off without them being cruel
is better.
Unquote,
it's better, yeah.
Is better.
Yeah.
So one is good. Would you call the suffering?
It's all good. I can get food everywhere in the world that I want. In fact,
Elliot, yeah, he's been smoking cigars from the very beginning. He's
that's kind of in the title of the segment or the
he's constantly smoking, constantly.
Factory farms are part of the supply and demand food chain. It's a wonderful thing that we can feed all these people on the planet. It's a wonderful thing that there are fewer people starving and dying of hunger than there ever was before at any point in human history, that we've managed to take many people in the third world, especially in modern day China, thanks to factory farms, and take them out of poverty and give them the ability to eat food, mainly meat, every single day. I think it's a wonderful thing, yes. And you'll never change my mind otherwise. Factory farms are fine by me.
He's definitely wrong on that one. We could feed a lot more people without factory farms and generally without animal agriculture. So
we discussed that. Yeah,
as we said before, he's definitely ill-informed on that one. But this is, I don't think there's anything point in saying that again in any kind of in depth, because we went through it earlier
I do think, like the one thing, like he says, you're never going to change my mind about this one. I think that he seems like a reasonable individual who, if presented with the right information, could change his mind on this, because I honestly think he's objectively wrong on this one. If we look at the numbers, if we look at the amount of animals that we feed versus the amount of people that we could feed, I hope that Joey's going to bring that up.
You could probably show him the actual official data on how much you can feed with plants and how much you feed with animals and all the resources that go into animals. Even though I'm sure he already probably knows all of this, from hearing him speak for whatever the past amount of time is.
It could be that he
Well, maybe that's a section he doesn't know about is just how much more people we could feed with. But I think that wouldn't change his personal view on what he puts in his mouth, though, because even if you moved to more plant-based vegan farming and fed more of the world and closed some slaughterhouses down, he'd still like some slaughterhouses to stay open because he wants his chicken, as he keeps telling everyone. So I think anything that would impact him personally and ruin his choice, like his alligator shoes or his, I don't think you'd ever convince him of it. It doesn't matter what it is. If you tell him he would have to have plastic seats rather than leather seats in his whatever the latest car is, then I think he would say no, keep them open. They're a great thing. So I think anything that personally would take away from his what he classes as his luxurious positive experience in life, I think you'd really struggle to get him to agree with it, to be fair.
I think it's partially assumptions.
I assume maybe things.
Yeah, just to keep it, I want to be fair.
Yeah, no, that's my opinion, my assumption. That's what I think. That
it's not an unfair assumption, but an assumption nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely. But that's the vibe he gives me anyway. Let's put it that way.
And I know what goes on, and I've seen them, and I don't care. It's a chicken. It's a chicken, bro. Like, seriously, I just don't care.
But you don't. No, you do. You can't say that now because you did care a little bit enough.
I don't care
cared enough
much
to stop me torturing them. You cared enough to stop me torturing them before when I created the chicken torture like scenario. Well, you did care a little bit.
You like hypotheticals.
I seen a glimmer of empathy in you, bro.
You like hypotheticals, and if you're going to torture chickens after this feed and message me that you're torturing chickens, I'm going to turn my phone off and go and live my life. You want to do that? That's fucked up, but go right ahead. What am I going to do? Drive over to where you are and tackle you to save the chicken?
If I'm doing it for a bucket of chicken, isn't that like fine with you? That's what I was.
That's
what I thought your position was.
Yeah, a factory farm that produces chicken for us to eat is completely fine.
Okay. Well, okay. Should we do some finishing statements, or do you want to continue? Like, is there any other roads you want to go down with? Like, I don't know if you believe like
there were generally no roads I wanted to go down at the beginning of this. As I think I said at the beginning that this wasn't going to be a debate because I'm not an uninformed person who's going to hear what you has to say and go, oh my God, wow. Oh, wow. Maybe I should stop eating meat. I know all the things that you know already. And eating animals is perfectly fine. I don't care about animals like I care about humans. Humans are morally superior. Humans were given dominion over this earth by God, and we were created in God's image, and humans are sacred. So all of your arguments about, oh, what if humans were farmed in this way? And, animals, what if I just tortured them for fun? That's not what I do. I'm not the guy who says it's fun to torture animals and I love torturing animals, so I'm going to debate this vegan. I'm a guy who has a healthy relationship with food and a healthy relationship with meat. I understand where it comes from, and I simply don't care about a chicken like I do about humans. So there was never really a debate in the first place, but your fans insisted I debate you. But I don't really see where we disagree because I know the things you know.
Well, to be fair, I think we're approaching the end, Joey. To be honest, I think there may be a bit of thanks for having me, and it may go on for a bit more. But I don't think there's a lot more to sort of cover from there. To be fair,
can we make sure? Because then we can wrap up too.
But we can play the final few minutes. But I think Tate just summarised his entire sort of stance that he's had throughout the entire sort of debate at this point, hasn't he? And he hasn't changed in any way. It's remained consistent for him and how he feels and his views. So we can see what Joey has to say in response anyway. But yeah.
Yeah, well, we disagree on that animals have no value whatsoever and they're beneath us and we can do what we want to them.
Oh, animals
wear them and eat them.
Animals have value. I didn't say animals have no value.
Can we talk about masculinity for just before you? I don't know if you want to keep going down this route, but I just want to know what your views on masculinity are.
My views on masculinity.
The reason I'm asking.
Go ahead, please. I'd like to know the reason you're asking, because if it's about chickens,
no, it's not a trap.
I mean,
yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what you. It's
make it.
I'm just trying to figure out.
I don't mind if it's a trap.
Yeah, I know.
You're going to say that because
it's not a trap.
I'm not masculine. That's your opinion. It's fine. I don't care.
No, I just want to figure out because, in my view, do you believe, basically figuring out whether or not you think being masculine is being a protector or helping the vulnerable, those that are we perceive as below, you perceive animals as below you. They're basically at our mercy. We can do what we want to them. These birds, they're very fragile. They are tiny. We can crush them with with our boot.
Yeah.
Do you think that it is eating these animals is like a form of masculinity, or does it make you more of a man or anything like that?
No, I don't believe that. I'm not one of these guys who says, oh, you have to eat meat to be a man. To be a man, you have to live by your own convictions and you have to stand by your own convictions. I feel like the question is wired in a way, and I don't want it to spiral back down that toilet of, oh, but babies and humans are less vulnerable. So, chickens and humans. I don't want to spiral back down that same toilet bowl. But being a man is about living by your own convictions, standing up and saying, this is what I believe in, being ready to challenge people in their beliefs, being happy to talk to people like I'm talking to you now when a bunch of internet trolls say you're scared to debate veganism, when it's an issue I don't really care about. But being able to stand up, say what you mean what you say, that's what being a man is about. I'm not saying you have to go around and stab, I stabbed a pig, I'm so macho. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do. Just like punching someone in the face isn't an easy thing to do. You've punched plenty of people in the face, and so have I, I'm sure. But that's the nature and the reality of the world that we live in. So no, I'm not going to even fall into the trap of saying you have to eat meat to be a man. Because when I've seen you argue with people look scared of you a bit, intimidated by you a bit, and you stand up there anyway, no matter what someone says. If someone's eating a burger in your face and you say, no, I think this is wrong, and I'm going to travel around the world and say that this is wrong as much as I want to, that is being a man. And credit for you for doing it. If you want to go around the world and preach this for the rest of your life, which I assume you will, then all power to you. But you're never, ever, ever, ever going to convince people like me, because there are smart people out there who know everything about the meat industry you do. You can't hit us with any eye openers. You can't hit us with any weird hypotheticals about non-human humans, because that's just not real. And I'm going to shrug my shoulders. I'm going to hang up this call after we finish amicably saying goodbye to each other. And I'm going to go and eat whatever I like. And you're going to eat whatever you like. And you're not going to be able to change my mind. So be a man, say what you mean what you say, and travel around the world and continue doing it. But you're going to have zero success when it comes to people like me. Yeah, because I don't care.
With this type of argumentation, yes, I agree with Tate.
Yeah, Yeah, I understand, but I think he's been pretty, with the whole masculinity thing. I think Joey was kind of hoping that he would say, but and again, I'm assuming maybe Joey was expecting a different response, but I'm not sure. We'll see what he has to say in a moment. But a lot of people out there who eat meat do say that you need to eat meat to be a man. It's a man, it's a man's. It's like a lot of men like barbecues and grills and they're stood there poking the steaks around on the grill, and it's a man thing. But he's at least admitted it's not a manly thing to harm animals or eat animals. But
do you think, because at the beginning of the stream we also said, like, okay, this stream is not going to be to convince Tate. This stream is going to be to talk to maybe reach a new group of people. Do you think that Joey Carbstrong has succeeded in reaching more people?
It's hard to say, whether or not. I would assume most of Tate's audience won't be particularly moved by it. I would assume. I can't say that for certain. There may be some, but I would assume not. And
maybe it motivated a few people to Google some of the
they might look into it themselves. And to be fair, one of the main things that I think the Tates generally talk about is what it's like to be a man and what you need to do to be a man. And I think he summarized some of the things, like convictions and all the other things, and standing up and doing what they what they believe men should do. And at least he didn't say part of that ethos is you have to eat meat.
Yeah, I think in a sense a lot of people underestimated Tate. Like they were just not willing to give him like the charitable view and just assumed a lot of things about him. I understand why, but still, like, I think that this is one big lesson in charitable listening and like actually listening and responding to what the person is saying, because I believe this could have been a super interesting conversation. It just kind of spiraled.
Yeah, it did, and you've got to give them at least both some credit, haven't we? Really, I mean, Tate's listened. And very respectfully for the most part, and so was Joey, and they've both listened and spoke. But as I say, it spiraled down a bit of a rabbit hole that unfortunately I think Joey took it where it didn't particularly it didn't particularly go to places it maybe should have gone.
And of course, like we
but
said,
this is retrospectively, isn't it?
Yeah, it's easy to talk from our position, of course.
But
our criticism, or at least my criticism, I can speak for you, but I think that our criticism comes from a place of appreciation that these people were willing to have this discussion to begin with. We didn't make a 4-hour video because of that.
And there might be some people out there that were on Tate's stream. I would say there was 30,000 people watching it. God knows how many people are going to actually watch, on playback, and it's going to be clipped out, and different things are going to happen there. So maybe somebody will see it because there's bound to, he's got a lot of fans out there, and some of them may be thinking of like not eating animals anymore, and maybe the fact that somebody they look up to like him was willing to debate a vegan in a respectful manner for the most part, even though he had his views, and also admit that it wasn't required to eat animals.
Together for a conversation.
Yeah, definitely. So but I couldn't quantify how many sort of, or come to a conclusion of how many people obviously would have. But hopefully somebody. Let's should we end by seeing what Joey's going to say as well?
Tristan, coming into this, I actually already knew that. I just really appreciated. I just want to say I really appreciate you having this discussion with me on your platform, because you didn't have to. You don't have to do anything.
I didn't have to,
even if people say, "Oh, you're scared," you didn't have to have me on your platform with all of your tens of thousands of people watching this right now. I really am appreciative of that, and I'm glad that you're not saying, "Oh, you have to eat meat to be a man" or whatever like that. I mean, because I think it's actually pathetic if people think that what you put in your mouth makes you more of a protector or more of a man, or thinks it makes you any less of a man to care about this issue. You're just saying you don't care about animals. I disagree. I do care about vulnerable beings, and that's why I try to protect them. Okay, and if anyone was stomping on an animal, provided I was in their vicinity, I would rush in and help, and I'd get bashed trying to help an animal from
And
being
and
tortured and
again,
harmed.
if I saw a man stepping on a dog, I wouldn't walk past smiling. So I know, and we could go down these same arguments again and again and again
Yeah.
and again.
But he
But I
wouldn't
don't,
pass.
I don't think we're ever going to get anywhere with this.
So I just was trying to figure out your views on masculinity, and if you're saying it doesn't make you more or less of a man to what about if you got to eat steak to be a man, eating steak is manly or whatever, something like stupid like that, or if you eat vegan, you're going to be feminized or turn into like
I have
a
said
woman or something
the
like
exact.
Yeah, he said the exact. I don't know why Joey's.
Said the exact opposite. I saw this fat soy dork standing at his barbecue grill in his Crocs and his shorts in his low income house, flipping these burgers, being like, "Oh yeah, I'm such a man because I could barbecue." I'm like, "You think that makes you a man, bro? You look like a middle-aged fat lesbian. What's wrong with you? You're not a man. If I came into your house and stole your burgers, you wouldn't be able to do anything about it. Not that. I mean, yeah. So I've actually said the exact opposite a few times. No, I don't think it's mutually exclusive. But
yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. Well, you can be a vegan and be a man and protect the vulnerable, protect your family, and if you had to bear arms and go to war and do all these, protect the vulnerable, protect your children. There's a stereotype that just because you care about like other animals that aren't dogs or whatever, that makes you less of like a man or whatever. And I know a lot of your following, they listen to what you say. Like they
Makes
really
sense.
do, mate. You've got a huge influence and people respect you a lot. I look at all of your comments. I look at your following.
Wonderful.
It's massive.
Thank you.
People respect you and something about you that they listen to. So, I was just hoping that there's some people that listen to you that you might be able to sort of bring them off of this, at least this anti-vegan stereotype kind of thing where people are, oh, if you're a vegan, you're a bitch, or if you're a vegan, you're part of the matrix, or you've fallen for some propaganda, or you're like, how people bring all that shit. It just fundamentally could mean that people just care about the experience of animals that people just don't generally care about. So,
Well,
I mean,
it's the exact same point I made about Japanese history earlier. Like people have different passions and people have different things that they fight for. I know you think this is super important and the whole world needs to care. Some people don't care. Some people don't care about the things that I say or the things that I do. And that's the way it is. But no, I think that most people I know who I would describe as bitches, to use your word, this guy's a bitch, because 99% of people eat meat, especially where I live. Then 99% of the people I meet are bitches. So I wouldn't say it's mutually exclusive. No. Read, be smart, be a man. Don't be afraid of standing up for your values. Train yourself, become physically strong, protect and provide for the people who you care about, the people who you care about. I think that's what makes you a man. And if you want to be a vegan, I truly don't care, which is why I started this off with, this isn't a debate, because I have no real disagreement on what you're doing.
Just to be thorough, I did not like the little dig he just took at like lesbians and stuff. But other than that, he's got some, he summarized it aptly, I think. And I do appreciate Joey bringing up the subject of like masculinity. But I feel like I'm being overly critical of Joey here. That's because I really care about Joey and what he says, and I appreciate him very much as an activist. I want to put that first and foremost. So maybe that's why I'm a bit harsher on him, maybe.
Yeah, no one likes to say anything bad about Joey. He does great things, doesn't he? But no, it's good, as you say, it's good that he brought up masculinity, because I think they tried to speak to mostly men, the Tates. I would think maybe there's some women fans as well, but they do speak mainly to men. And to admit to his fans and all the people watching and everything else that you do not need to eat meat, and almost giving his blessing to his followers to go and be vegan if they want, and they are not like weakling soy boys, then is at least something, isn't it? And as he did give Joey an opportunity to go into his platform, and he might reach somebody through it, and and if he does, that's all good stuff. But yeah, at least it was respectful generally between the two of them for the most part as well, which is always good.
It's been a discussion though, and I think it's been like more than what you thought it might be. I thought you were just going to come in and say you don't care, so it's all fine, I don't care, and then like it wouldn't be. But we have actually got into more of a discussion than maybe you expected, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, my position is that I don't care, and I think I've maintained that quite well. But yeah, I think that we both know a lot about this topic, which is why I thought I'd sit and talk to you, because I imagine that, especially the people watching on YouTube, I can imagine what your comment section is like. this guy's a meathead, this guy's stupid, this guy is X, Y, and Z, and they thought I'd sit here and be like, what? Animals are treated badly to make my food. Like, I just thought I'll just put it out there. Let's have a nice, reasonable discussion. And we have had a reasonable discussion. There hasn't been a single bad word exchanged between us before this, and I don't imagine there will be after this. I imagine your fans will attack me, though. And my fans might attack you. That's nature of the internet.
Yeah, I mean, they probably already are. They're probably look, we're both going to, I'll probably get it worse than you because you've got a much larger following. But giving me the time and also you watch the gas chamber footage on my Twitter that I did that expose. I stuck I went and risked my life. I stuck the cameras in that gas chamber while it had gas in it, and brought out the images from the pigs, the first of its kind in the UK. So you saw that, so you know what goes on. You know that
I always have
is riddled. You know it's riddled with cruelty. You know that it's
always
if
have.
People care about animals. They should probably care about that issue. It's just that you don't care about the animals. You don't give a shit. You don't care. But if people have any iota of care, then they should probably stop funding that industry. But that's not you.
If that's your final point, then I'll let you finish on that final point without trying to correct you or interject. I mean, obviously, I know that you being on my podcast is me sharing my platform with you. And if you've convinced someone to not eat animals, then more power to you. So, is that it?
Well, Tristan, I mean that can be it, mate. I just want to say thank you so much for allowing me on.
Well, I think that's it. I think we are actually up to the goodbyes on there now. So.
Yeah.
So what's your final sort of thoughts after that marathon? 3 hours and 47 minutes so far, Joy.
Man, okay, I've been going through my notes and stuff. Like, I guess I'll repeat what I've said a couple of times. Like, I wish they went a little bit deeper on the topics that he did have an opinion about, that Tate did have an opinion about, such as, let me try to find an example. Like, we could go further on the biblical thing, like the definition of dominion and all that.
Yep.
We could talk about the emphasizing on your own, like the difference between your own feelings versus morality, like what you think is moral versus what you experience yourself.
Yeah.
Acknowledging your bias, but still, seeing a difference in that. Let's see. Yeah, I found the whole killing is never not cruel, like talking about what he thinks makes it justifiable. I'll go a little bit further into that because I'm sure that it is more interesting than just God says so. He has made multiple points about that.
Yeah, you'd have definitely had to challenge him more on the religious aspects, I would think, to make inroads with him. That would have been a good method to go down, but unfortunately, that's not what happened. But in Joey's defense, it was hard. It was hard for him. It was very difficult, I think, for him. So a lot of the things that he maybe use and are in his arsenal to get people to open their eyes and realize that harming animals is cruel weren't really working in this debate with Tate. Not only because obviously he doesn't care and he has absolutely what appears to be zero empathy for anything other than human. As long as it offers him some kind of
utility,
utility in some description, then it's pretty hard going, and there's a couple of times where I think he could have branched off, like you say, with the religious thing, but he didn't manage to do that. But I always appreciate Joey, and I always appreciate him putting himself out there and getting onto such a large platform to try and help the animals. He's amazing as always, and I appreciate Tate letting him on. And at least trying to be generally respectful throughout the whole thing, and not just throw veganism completely under the bus.
Yeah, no, I appreciate.
Again,
our criticisms are because we appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd like to say to everybody who's still with us after all, 3 hours and 50 minutes, you're absolutely amazing. I really appreciate you all being here. Jenna Lee, Race Lever, Michael, Leon, Tyke, all you guys. And I'm just trying to see who's still here. Garuda. I don't know if I said Jenna Lee. And, just I can't see. And Cherie. I appreciate you all watching this. And I think it was interesting to watch, and go through. I do think that a lot of it did loop around, like we said, but it was still good to watch. And yeah, let's hope they reach somebody, and you never know, people might see this and and watch some parts of this and like the conversation too. But is there anything you'd like to finish on, Joy? Anything you want to say?
No, I think that's about it. That's a good one to end on. We should try and look into what the discussion between us two is going to be. If it's going to be about free will, or maybe objectivity or subjectivity of morality. Like, let's pick something interesting here. I would love to do that.
Yeah. So we got through, Michael. We got through, and so did
Michael.
We all got through there. So yeah, I mean, both of me and Joy have not been particularly active on YouTube for the past while. So we threw ourselves in there with a big one, I think. Just
good luck editing this if you're gonna do that.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll just leave it up in its entirety. It just seems a lot of editing, but maybe I'll clip some of it out.
Yeah, I was about to. Maybe you can make nice clips of this or something.
But I'll leave it up there as well. I'll leave it up in its entirety. It's I mean, it's always good to go. I mean, I know it was a long one, but it's always good to go through something in its entirety, isn't it? I would think, Joy. And then you're responding to sort of the whole, and I think it comes, I don't know, maybe a bit more genuine rather than just clipping sections out that maybe suit
true.
you. And you can see where maybe we vegans. I think what we can take away is there are people like Tristan out there. I don't know if they're, and I think it's maybe not. I wouldn't say a wake up call, but maybe it's something vegans maybe need to think about. Is how do we counter, such a person if you come across them, and I think, like you say, picking them up on the things that you might have been able to get through to them on, like the religious aspect, maybe in definitions of dominion, etc., might have been worth going down more. But it's hard work, as I say, for Joey.
Or the origin. Another one that I wrote down is the origin of the detachment, because that's something that was mentioned throughout the stream a few times. Like, I think that the detachment is mainly in marketing and not really in practice. But that's
no, exactly. So again, well, thanks to everyone for coming. Thanks for staying for so long. Really appreciate it. I'll end the stream. But thanks again. You guys have been awesome.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye now.